There we go. All right. Off to a great start. Bloody hell. All right. Sometimes it's not an easy start for this stream. All right. So I got a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about, but the main thing I wanted to go through is why is it warm? I'm eating hot food and I've got hot drinks right there. That's probably why. What is it called? Experienced drivers, I think it's called. So Excel spreadsheet that I'm pretty proud of, and I've been chipping away at it. So we have to go all the way back to, was it 1969? Okay, so that's where I've decided to start it from. So I'm going to show that. And then we're going to talk about these are the people. I guess I'm counting full-timers that you have. So I thought I started from 1960, but I didn't. I started from 1969. So here in 1969, everybody obviously, these are all the people who did most of the season at least. Pete Gagan, Hamilton, what's his name? Something Hamilton. Ian Hamilton, Norm Beachy, Jim McCune, Bob Jane, and I think Jim Manton. So then you go to 1970, and all of those guys did continue into 1970, I think. Am I missing one? Hamilton did not continue. So then you got a couple of new guys coming through. And so it goes on like that for a while. But you see everybody's running their own entry until 1973. Pete Gagan switches teams. He's not running his own show in 1973. And I think that's because he otherwise wasn't going to do it. Somebody else was like, hey, Pete, do you want to drive this car? Yeah, no worries. Pretty rare in those days. So then you got Alan Moffat. And this is continuous careers for the most part. And when they're not there, then I don't put them on. And that's the way this presentation works. So you got 1975 Peter Brock. It's his third year. Bob Holden there. He rocks up for a long time. For a long time, the guys like Moffat and Holden and Murray Carter are guys that were there for a long time. And you got your Bob Morris there. What happened there? Bob Holden didn't do 1977, that's why. So guys like Bob Holden and Alan Moffat and Murray Carter drop in and out for many years. Now, I didn't count 1976 for Peter Brock. Might be controversial. And it's mainly because he didn't do most of the season in 1976. I was actually surprised. There were a couple of drivers that when I was making this, I was very surprised that they didn't do the full season in certain years. Like one I was actually particularly surprised was that Larry Perkins didn't compete for most of the season in 1989 because he had a Commodore and that's what he wanted to race, and I guess he felt like it wasn't going to be competitive, and so that's what he did. So yeah, Brock doing his own thing. Now, I don't know the specifics of Brock's career. I haven't read a book on him. It's probably one of those things I really should get around to doing at some stage because he's one of those guys that, obviously I talk a lot about modern supercars, but talking about what it was like in the 70s and the 80s, what supercars was like back then, what the Australian Touring Car Championship was like. As you can see, not a lot of guys did the full season. There's like a bunch of guys who did the full season, and that was about as good as it got. Bob Morris switched in 1980 because he drove for Bob Morris drove in 1979. So he won the championship in 1979, beating Brock. And in 1980, I think he moved to a different team. I can't remember what it was. I reckon he moved to Roadways or something like that, Chickadee, into that team. Then you got your Colin Bonds. So Bondy he raced up so 1977 and 78, he was driving for Alan Moffat. Before then, 75 and 76, he was with Holden Dealer Team. Won the championship in 1975. And then he came back in 1981. I can't remember who he drove for, but obviously just did the 1 year. I couldn't tell you what car because like 1981, is it 1980 or 81? I might be thinking of, oh no, Kevin Bartlett there. Kevin Bartlett drove the Camaro, and so he did that in 1980. I think he drove it in 1981 at Bathurst as well. So that's sort of, it was like the iconic car of that time. But also there were a couple other cars like the True Blue XD Falcon that Dick Johnson drove back then. I've seen little clips of it. I've seen, Hardy's Heroes, Top 10 Shootout, things like that. But it's one of those things that's probably harder to get these days. You just got to dig in the right spots and you'll find some really good stuff. What else we got going on here? You got Bob Holden popping up again. You got Laurie Nelson popping up every now and then. Dick Johnson finally starts his career. And people didn't really have long careers. It was pretty rare for somebody to do it. Like Alan Moffat didn't race full time in 1975. I don't know if he did too many races, but from 1979 to 1981, he barely showed up at all. But it's interesting looking at who they were driving for. So Alan Grice in 1975 to 1979, he drove what they called the Craven Mild. He drove the Craven Mild Tirana. That's what he did back then. And then Craven Mild actually pulled out, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to be running a team." And he was like, "Oh crap!" And he ended up driving for Roadways Chickadee. He became better known for that 80s stuff, but he did drive the Craven Mild Tirana back in the day. And Roadways, that team was actually run for Steve Harrington here. 81, 82. They ran their own team in 83, I think. I'm getting confused. It's a bit complicated. I'm not an expert on this by any means. But I learned a lot while I was doing this. So, yeah, so... Alright, I might have screwed something out there because... Alright, little errors. I thought I'd save it before I go through things. But, yeah, so Steve Harrington, they ran that team. Alan Grice doing a great job there. And at the end of 1984, Harrington goes to race in Europe. So Grice, he's out of a seat. He's gone. Alan Grice was one of those iconic 80s guys back in the day. And when Group A came in 1985, the Group A regulations, that really turned their things on their head. So you've got Peter Brock, you got Bob Holden probably driving their regular cars. I'm not sure what Holden would have driven because he sort of drove whatever was going. Don't know if he drove a particular car. You can see his career was particularly sporadic. After 1976, he's like, I came back in 82, came back in 85. He had a car, he wanted to race it. And he was a car salesman. That was his thing. There are quite a few of these guys like ran their own dealerships or ran their own show in some regard. I think Jim Richards finally starts his career 84, 85. Robbie Franchovic joins Mark Petch Motorsport. But with the Group A regulations, Colin Bond, I can't remember I think that was the start of his team there. So he was driving, was it Alfa Romeo? Something like that in 85. Not a particularly successful team, but that's what he was doing. Dick Johnson drove a Mustang in 85, but it wasn't a particularly competitive car in 85. Peter Brock found that he wasn't winning as many races because the cars that were winning the races were like the BMWs of Jim Richards, the Volvos of Robbie Franchovic. Who's that Jones? That must be Alan Jones. I don't remember who he drove with that year. Yeah, I'm not going to be very good at that. But 86, because BMW is definitely one of those important teams in that time. You got George Fury in the Nissan. So Nissan didn't bother competing in 85 for some reason. They just weren't ready at the time. But 83 and 84, they had George Fury there. He was their guy. And there's a lot of people complain about the Group A regulations. But I think one of the most interesting seasons in Supercars history was probably the 1991 season. You've got so many things going on. First, you've got the dominance of the Nissans. You've got Longhurst and the BMW. You've got Yokohama tyres, Dunlop tyres, Bridgestone tyres. You've got all these different tyres, and all the different tyres do different things. And that stuff was more interesting. So I think they used to talk about the Yokohama used to come on a bit late, used to take a bit longer to get good. But once it got good, it was one of the fastest. I can't remember what people ran. I think Gibson used to run. Did they run Dunlops or they run Bridgestones? Might have been. No, they didn't run Yokohamas back then. Yeah, I'm not sure. Gets a bit complicated. Glenn Seaton actually managed to do made his full-time debut in '86, which is an interesting thing that I noticed. So 1986, John Bowe, Glenn Seaton made their debuts. Glenn Seaton was more experienced than Larry Perkins in the Australian Touring Car Championship. Obviously, Larry had done several occasional races, had done several Bathursts, was a successful racing driver. But in terms of who's done the most full-time supercar seasons, Glenn Seaton was it. Obviously, he had youth on his side, and that helped him in that regard. But there's definitely some interesting things. Robert Francevic won the title for Volvo in '86. You got Charlie O'Brien there. And for some reason, I thought Charlie O'Brien drove the Holden Dealer Team, but he didn't. He ran his own show. He did do a race for. He did do like I think one of them. I don't know if it was more than one race for Holden Dealer Team. But yeah, for such a long time, his main claim to fame is he was the youngest race winner in Australian Touring Car Championship history until Craig Lowndes came along and took that in 1996. And then you got your John Harvey there. Is it Pete Williamson? Something like that. I can't really remember. But by 1986, Brock is the most experienced guy in the field. Murray Carter comes back. Gricey comes back in '87. Can't remember who he was driving with. You got Greg Hansford actually drove with Dick Johnson in 1987 in a Sierra. And the Sierras got really good in 1988. So 87, Jim Richards won the title for BMW. He won it in 85 as well. In 88, well, at the end of 87, the team that ran BMW, the factory BMW team was John Gardner. John Gardner? Might be getting my names wrong. But he had health issues and he didn't want to run the race team anymore. So BMW factory team went to Peter Brock and the Holden Dealer Team. So in 1988, they had Peter Brock and Jim Richards. And I think there was a photo I was looking at a while back, a couple of streams ago. We were looking at Bathurst pole positions and lap times, the pole position lap time. And I was looking at the 88 grid and I'm like, where's Brock? Where's Peter Brock? And he was right down the back in the Beamer. I don't know if he shared a car with Jim Richards. I imagine he probably would have. But that car was just not that good in '88 because the Ford Sierra was by miles so much faster. Alan Moffat actually came back for '88. He did come back in, was '83. 82 to 84, he ran a Mazda RX-3, won the championship in '83. So really good. What else we got? Yeah, so Dick Johnson won the '88 title in his Ford Sierra. You've got Tony Longhurst in '88. So '86 and '87, he was also with BMW. But in '88, I think he ran his own team. And I can't remember. I think that must have been the first year of Logomo. So they ran BMWs. John Bowe, teammates to Dick Johnson. He came back. He was also a Volvo driver in 1986. There's lots of really interesting stuff. You got Tony Nosk down here in '88, father of Mark Noske, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, obviously because that was what the team was called back in 2003 when Mark Noske was driving. Then you've got 1989, which is a bit of an interesting time. So after the BMW year of Holden Dealer Team, well, it wasn't called Holden Dealer Team, it was called HDT after the big split between Holden and Brock. So that's when they then became the BMW team, and then at the end of '88, they were like, we don't want to run BMWs anymore. So Brock was switching to run Sierras in '89. And he got down here a young Brad Jones, did a full-time season in 1989 for HDT Racing. I think that's what the team was officially called, because they couldn't call themselves Holden Dealer Team because they were no longer the Holden Dealer Team. But they wanted to keep the name because everybody knew HDT and the logo and everything that came with it. And that was, I mean, when you think about it, that was sort of like HDT by that point was like what Holden Racing Team became in the 2010s. It was not winning championships. It wasn't really winning races too often or getting pole positions. But you got to be with Peter Brock, and that was a great opportunity because you're going to be with one of the best drivers of all time, and so that, and then you're going to be on the spotlight, and so you could potentially get opportunities from that. But it wasn't great. But obviously, Peter Brock got in Sierra, and I think he put it on pole at Bathurst that year. So, yeah, Alan Moffat, 89. I think he ran the Sierra. Bondi's still doing so Bondi ran his own team from 1985 through to his retirement in 1992, 93, I think. But yeah, so a lot of these guys had very long careers. But Peter Brock takes the cake. He was the longest by a mile. Like Craig Lowndes in the modern era got up to W, but Peter Brock got up to, he went off the page. Actually, did he go off the page? I think he went up to like Y or something. I did wonder back in the day whether Craig Lowndes was actually going to continue and break that record, but no, it's Brock's record. What else we got? So yeah, Dick Johnson won the title in '89. Jim Richards moved to Nissan, which ended up being a very fruitful move. So he had his glory years at BMW, and then BMW stopped being the car to be in. Now I think Longhurst. Now hang on, Longhurst drove BMW for 86 and 87. Did he start driving a Sierra in '88? That's probably what I'm thinking. Yeah, because I was like, did they run BMWs in 1991? I'm like, no, I don't think so. No. Robbie Francevic. Now it gets complicated with Robbie Francevic. He got 86. I put down. Now in '86 they became the Volvo Dealer Team, and it became a differently run team. Because it was Mark Petch Motorsport, and then it became the Volvo Dealer Team. So, but then in 1989, Robbie came back and he drove. I think he drove a Sierra for Mark Petch Motorsport. Yeah, interesting stuff going on there. Glenn Seaton was a bit pissed off in '88 because Nissan, like he came second in the championship in 1987, mounted a big title fight against Jim Richards, and then the next year he wasn't in the seat. Who did they run? No one. I think. Well, they got George Fury. No Nissan drivers. Yeah, they just didn't do anything in '88. So he got a couple of opportunities, but that was about it. I think they did the Enduros, but that was about it. So he set up his own team in '89, and so with a Sierra, and so that was a lot of like, he was like the true privateer there, running his own team. But a lot of people were privateers back in this time. There were a few drivers who were drivers for other teams. So you got Jim Richards, but as a professional driver there, drove for BMW, drove for Peter Brock, drove for Nissan. George Fury, professional driver, driving for Nissan. Longhurst, he in his first 2 years driving for JPS and then moved to his own team, Logomo. I don't know if it was called, because it was, it might not have been called Logomo in '88. It might have just been called something else, because it was Longhurst and Gardner at first, and then later on Terry Morris brought in to run Paul Morris. But we'll get there. You got George Madecki there, run his own show. John Bow, professional driver, driving for Volvo in '86, and joining Dick Johnson in '88. Neville Crichton, I cannot remember what was going on with him, but I think he drove for someone else at some stage. Then we got some fancy stuff going on here. Now, this stuff probably matters a bit more later on, but as you can see, there's not a lot of drivers have a lot of experience. Quite a lot of drivers have a little bit of experience. But then you got you guys like your Peter Brocks, Alan Moffat, Colin Bond, Dick Johnson, Jim Richards, George Fury. And then you could argue Longhurst, but a lot of these drivers, like most of the field's pretty inexperienced, and it was like that a lot of the time. '89, you got Skaife making his debut for Nissan, so Skaife and Richo, 1989. 1990, Jim Richards wins the title for Nissan. Greg Hansford comes back in 1990. And I don't remember who he drove for. I think he might run his own show, not sure. Might run for Larry Perkins. I think he drove for Larry Perkins in 1990. And Brock's still doing his own thing with the Sierra. Nothing too exciting there. Alan Jones came back in 1990, and I think he drove with Longhurst. No, hang on, that was 80. Yeah, it was Longhurst, right? I think so. But Alan Jones is a Formula One world champion, for those who don't know. And he dabbled in '85 or '86. He tried to make a comeback in Formula One with it was called Haas, but it's a different Haas to what we've got these days in Formula One. So he tried to make a comeback to Formula One. Didn't really pan out too well. It was a rubbish time for him. Did a season in '85. Not sure who he drove with. And might have been with BMW in 1985. 1990, I couldn't tell you who he was driving for. Maybe with Longhurst, I'm not really sure. Maybe it's 91, because I reckon he was driving with Longhurst in 91. It might have been a Sierra driving 90 in those days. But Brock teamed up with Larry Perkins in 1991. So it was a cool thing. They had, what do they call it? In-car cam. Like having a chat with Peter Brock, and they're, hey, Peter, how's it going? And that's what it used to be back then. They don't really do it that much these days. They do it after the shootout laps. It's not every single one, but often enough. When they've got a minute, that's what they do. At some point, Colin Bond switched from the Alfa Romeos to Sierras. It might have been like 89 or 90. And didn't have a whole lot of success, but it was like the Caltech Sierras. That was his team. Jim Richards went back-to-back titles, 1991. Tony Longhurst won a few races, and Skaife also won a couple of races as well. He started to get good towards the end of the season. Well, there's nothing too exciting really. William Percy and the Holden Racing team there, but they didn't really do a whole lot. I think 1990 they won Bathurst, a bit of a crazy result. And in 1992, so the Holden Dealer Team or HDT Racing wrapped up the end of 1990. Brock moved to drive for Larry Perkins, brought his mobile sponsorship with him. Didn't really pan out too well. And so Brock was brought into this new team called Advantage Racing in 1992. They weren't too competitive. They were competitive enough, but nothing too crazy. So that was what was going on with him. 1992, Mark Skaife won his first title for Nissan in the GTR. Then what else we got going on? I think the main thing that happened in 92 was the dominance of the Nissans, and people complained about it a lot. And then you got Paul Morris made his debut in 1992. And so they introduced the V8 era in 1993. So certain teams struggled a bit more than others. Had to spend a lot of money in getting things set up for the new 5-litre, I think they're called V8 5-litre category. It was a very vague name, but I saw, I think it was on Wikipedia or something, someone saying, V8 Supercars started in 1993, and I'm like, no, it was not called that until 1997, right? That was when it happened. They became V8s in 1993. So, but in 1993, they did have some people continued racing with what they call the 2-litre cars, and so that kept the field up. And then in 1994, you weren't allowed to run it at all. So Peter Brock with Advantage Racing probably had a better year in 93 than he did in 92. Obviously, unable to compete against the Nissans. Colin Bond, I'm pretty sure it was his last year in 93. Dick Johnson, 1993. I think he won the first race of the V8 era. Dick Johnson. Johnson or Bow, one of the two. Went on at Amaro Park, 1993. Jim Richards. I think Richo struggled a lot more in the V8 era. He only did 3 years, 93, 94, 95, and then he retired. But I think there was a bit more going on than that as well, because the team did go down to one car for 1996. And I'll tell you a bit more about that when we get up to that. Longhurst drove Sierras, I think. And it was it 94 or 95? At some stage, Logamo and Longhurst parted ways, and he set up his own team. Now, the first champion of 1993 was Glenn Seaton, and his teammate was Alan Jones, who switched from Longhurst Racing, or Logamo, whatever you want to call them, to Glenn Seaton. And that paid off quite well. He won some races. He was not as good as Glenn Seaton, but he was particularly competitive, and it was exciting to watch. You watch 1993 races, 94. I think particularly 1993. Wayne Gardner down there and Alan Jones put on real shows because they used to shove each other off the track. It was insane. Then you got Neil Crompton down there in 1993. He did do the odd race before then, but he didn't do the majority of the races in the season. He didn't do 50% or more. That's the way I'm calculating stuff like this. And here we got Larry Perkins, did 87, 88. 87's the one I remember where they talk about Lightning Larry. Just nailed the start, bolted to the first corner, and speeded off. I can't remember what track it was. It might have been Surfers Paradise Raceway or Adelaide International Raceway. It might not be, but it was one of those sorts of tracks. It was just great to see. Stuff like that just doesn't really happen these days. Although I did see a clip of a V8 Ute just started way too early. It was Richard Mork, started way too early, and so he started driving off. And I'm sure he looked in the mirror and went, "Oh, no one else is starting. How embarrassing!" That was funny. I was just like, "Oh my god, could you imagine doing that? That would be the worst." Oh, tearing up. So Yeah, Glenn Seaton won the title in 93. 1994, Peter Brock moves to the Holden Racing Team. So finally he was in competitive machinery because in 1993, Thomas Mazira was actually doing pretty decently. I think he got a pole position at Tassie or front row at Tassie, something like that. But he was a decently competitive driver. So Peter Brock rocked up with his Mobil sponsorship. It's hard to imagine Holden Racing Team without Mobil One sponsorship, but they didn't have that in 1990 through to 93. And then Peter Brock rocked up with that sponsorship and set up a that's one thing that's lasted since 1994. Mobil One with the Holden Racing Team or with Walkinshaw Racing, whatever you want to call it. Walkinshaw and Andretti United these days. It's still there. A very rare thing in motorsport, actually very, very rare thing in global sponsorship, I think, just about. The rarest is actually Dick Johnson with Shell. Shell have sponsored Dick Johnson Racing since like 1977, I think. Just for such a long time. 1994, Mark Skaife actually wins it. Now, this is the former Nissan team, and they kept Richo, they kept Skaife, they switched to Holden for 93, and that was sort of a big deal back in 1992. Is what car are you going to run? And Fred Gibson actually used to be a Ford factory driver back in the 70s, and so when his team was switching from Nissan to whatever to be a V8. It was tough for him because he was like, "Do I run a Ford because I've got that history of being with Ford, or do I run Holden where there seems to be the right kind of support that we want?" Because Ford weren't really back; they didn't really have that sort of factory support in the 90s until the 98, 99. And that's when it started to get a bit serious. So 1994, Skaife won the title for Gibson in 1994, his first one in a Commodore. And I think Richo didn't quite have as good as a time there. So Richo really struggled in the V8 era. He was really good. I mean, he did start getting beaten in the middle of 92, obviously. Skaife, was it 92? Or even halfway through 91. Once Skaife got going, he was really good. So, yeah, not too easy. Neil Crompton down there. So, Wayne Gardner set up his own team in 1994. People remember it as Coca-Cola Racing. And so, Crompo actually got the step up with Wayne Gardner because Gardner split with HRT. He spat the chewy. It's just the sort of guy he is. Or maybe the sort of guy he was in his own racing career. He was a bit of a my way or the highway kind of guy, and you got to appreciate that that sort of thing. But that was what happened, and he got Neil Crompton. And Crumpo was a relatively competitive driver. He wasn't like a ferocious talent, but he actually went from television into racing. He used to race. Well, it was not. They talk about the 1970, 77 or 78 motocross that he used to do. He used to race bikes, Crompo, and then he moved into TV because he had an injury. So he started doing some commentary, commentating the bikes, and his perspective on, because he knew all the guys and he knew about the machinery and knew all these intricacies about it. He brought that to his commentary, and that's what it was pretty cutting edge at the time, because the people who normally did the commentary like back here in 1994, and that's part of what's so great about the late 80s, 90s. You've got Mike Raymond doing the commentary. So 1987, Lightning Larry, that was Mike Raymond. And then you come to get Neil Crompton comes in. And Neil Crompton actually didn't go pro with commentary until 2003. So it was Mike Raymond calling up until, was it 1996, 95? I'm in 96. 1997 was when the V8 Supercars stuff came in, the Channel 10 sponsorship. So you start to get Lee Diffie, Barry Sheen. But like some of those guys that are a bit more iconic when you think about back in the day V8 supercars, you think of 1997 through to 2002, pretty much, because they had like Barry Sheen, they had Lee Diffie, Matt White, Greg Rust, those guys. Like I'm thinking of the Canberra 500. Was it Canberra 500? Canberra 400? Whatever it was. The Canberra race, which only ran for a couple of years. That I think of those guys. I think of Barry Sheen interviewing and talking about Radisich because he loved Radisich. But here's 1994. Interesting times for Crompo, Coca-Cola Racing. So Skaife won that title. 1995. You've got John Bowe actually wins the title, and he'd been banging on the door for such a long time. Some people these days think that Dick Johnson was calling team orders because obviously he owned the team, and Bowie, that's why Bowie couldn't beat him. But actually, once it got to like 1992, Bowie started beating DJ, and he was usually better than DJ. But I mean, there wasn't really much reason for why Bowie was beating DJ. I think maybe some health issues started to creep in for DJ a bit more. It was manageable though. I think even when he won his titles, he was still good though. So one of those things. There's a lot of detail in why things happened and what's going on, but Bowie got good. JB got good. Won the title in '95 against Glenn Seaton in his own Falcon. And Larry Perkins was winning races back then as well. When I think of Larry Perkins, I think of the end of his career. He just wasn't quite up to the task. You got AJ still with Glenn Seaton Racing. I think it was the end of '95. Glenn Seaton had to drop the 90 to one car. Quite a few of these teams actually. So it's my dinner I got right in front of me. Bang. So you got Peter Brock at HRT. So the tobacco sponsorship was a big part of motor racing back in the day, 70s, 80s, 90s, until 1995 in Australian touring car racing. It was at the end of the year. Winfield was sponsoring Gibson Motorsport, and Nissan actually didn't have a sponsor on their cars until 1991. Was it 91? Might have been 92. 92 was when they got the Winfield sponsorship. But back in the 70s, Peter Brock was sponsored by Marlboro, or Holden Dealer Team was sponsored by Marlboro until they switched in 1980. Hang on, last of the Big Bang is 84. So 85, he got mobile. But before then, he was known with people think of the Dayglow, Marlboro, VK Commodores. He was banging around at Bathurst. Dick Johnson didn't have cigarette sponsorship, tobacco sponsorship. Jim Richards actually, like with the it's not just BMW, it's JPS BMW. John Player and Sons, which is a cigarette brand. And then he goes to was that 89 and becomes a Winfield guy. And Skaife was driving with the Winfield car as well. Obviously these days they're going to blur it out because you're not allowed to have tobacco sponsorship anymore. Formula One took a long time to phase it out because it was a global sport. It's a lot harder to do that because it's not illegal in every country. Longhurst, Benson and Hedges, I think in the 80s, 88 through to 94. In 1990, at the end of 94, Logan Mo wanted to do their own thing. They didn't want to do V8 supercar racing or V8 racing. And so he ran his own team, 1995, called Longhurst Racing. Glenn Seaton had what's it called? It's the blue one, the blue brand. the blue with the yellow stripe, the yellow and red stripe. Oh, I keep thinking pack leader, but that's what they called it to get away with it in 1996 with Alan Jones. It was called something else in the other times, but I can't remember what it's called. That was a cigarette sponsorship with Glenn Seaton, but he got a bit lucky and they got Ford credit on for 1996. Larry Perkins, he was a bit lucky. He had Castrol for such a long time. And obviously Wayne Gardner Racing with the Coca-Cola support. You got Paul Romano here. He was one of those guys that, you do wonder, sometimes you got these talents that pop up in motorsport, and because they run their own show, you do wonder, what if they were a professional driver? Would they be more successful, or would they not be as successful? So, and Paul Romano was one of those guys because he was pretty decent. So, yeah, 1996. Craig Lowndes, of course, rocks up on the scene with the Holden Racing team. And 94 or 95, Brock was mounting a challenge for the title, Peter Brock. And so he was winning races. He was when he came to HRT, he was back. He was winning races, pole positions. He was up there. But these other guys were winning the title. He wasn't doing it. So maybe by that point he was past it, because you think, if he's the best driver of all time, how come your Mark Skaife, John Bowe, and Craig Lowndes are beating him, especially Craig Lowndes, because he was teammates with Peter Brock. So it's hard to argue a case for his all-time success if he wasn't able to beat a rookie Lowndes. What else we got here? Yeah, so Lowndes won the title. Crompo, I think 1996 was the last year of the two-car Coca-Cola team. And that was the end of it for him. Alan Jones set up his own team in 1996. They're a bit sneaky with the pack leader sponsorship there, but they didn't last too long. And then he got Komatsu, I think, in 1997. Then he got a couple of other debutantes in 1996, some icons like Russell Engel, Stephen Richards, Stephen Ellery even. You got Greg Crick down there. And Paul Romano actually drove for Alan Jones Racing in 1996. I think. Yeah, so a lot of interesting things that were going on there. So we get to 1997. This is Peter Brock's last year. So he gets up to Y. And that's the furthest anyone has gone in a career. I don't think you'd expect it in a modern career, because back in pretty much before, I think, 1993, they only used to do one race. But from I think it was 93, 92, 93, around that time, they started introducing multiple races. They called them heats back then, multiple heats per round. And that's what they used to do until it became, I think, a bit more of a multi-race championship, multi-race round championship in 90. Well, I'm not going to be good at this, so I'm not going to say anything. But a little bit later, a couple of years later. And there's a lot of stuff that I'd love to explore at some stage in all of my data analysis and presentations and everything I'm doing here. So we've got so Longhurst 97. I might stop and check comments if anyone's dropped in. Hey mate, hey LG, what do I think of the new Supra, and do I think the Camaro will hang around for much longer? Ooh, I like the Supra just on looks. What else? In terms of like parity and all that, it just depends on how competitive BJR and Walkinshaw are. So just imagine this current season with the Supra slapped on top. That's what I think it'll be in terms of the competitiveness. But I think it's a cool looking race car. I'd love to see some awesome looking liveries. That's what I think of the Supra. A new car, especially one that looks cool, that's great for the sport. And do I think the Camaro will hang around for much longer? Well, I think Chev are pretty committed at the moment to sticking around. So I think when I think from what I've read, uh, Chev will have um, some sort of replacement in due course in the next couple of years, I suppose. Um, we'll see it when I think NASCAR start running something different because they've got a Camaro as well. So if we see it in NASCAR, we'll see it in Supercars, or we'll see something different in Supercars. Whatever Chev decide to do. I imagine they're pretty committed to having Chevrolet in the sport in Supercars. So that's what they want to sell in Australia. So it's not like they're going to have Cadillac or something in Supercars. So, um, but yeah, it's you got two dead cars in Supercars. Pretty much, you got the Supra, which they don't. I think they're not going to make it anymore. I think they've stopped making it. So they're going to start running a car that you can't actually buy. But you can't buy a Camaro these days anyway. I remember I think it was 2020 or 2021, something like that. They were like, they're not going to make a Camaro anymore, or they're bringing it to Australia. But it just sort of stopped. As soon as I think it was like after Newcastle, they said, yeah, we're not going to be making the Camaro anymore. So, but we ran ZB Commodores for another 2 years after Holden stopped existing. So we did that. You've got the FGX Falcon, which ran in 2018, which they stopped building them in 2017. And Mustang has pretty much been the only one that's actually been running as like a current car that you can go into a showroom and buy. So I mean, it's not too unusual to see an odd car. Like even in the 80s with Kevin Bartlett, I don't think you could buy a Camaro. They probably imported a lot of that stuff. I mean, I think I was reading a bit about, I think especially with the Sierras, they were talking about, who was it? Such and such a person. I think it was Thomas Mazzera when he was with, he won the 88 Bathurst with Tony Longhurst, and I think it was Mazzera, yeah. They won the 88 Bathurst, but because the Texaco Sierras got banned, maybe it was 87. 87, I think. 87 was when Mazzera was part of protesting things like Ford in Europe was the main part of the Sierra stuff in that time, and they imported so much of their stuff. It's nothing like it is these days. I can't imagine what the cost must have been back then, but they wouldn't have done it if they didn't have the major sponsorship they would have had with the cigarette sponsorship. So, no, it'd be interesting to know just sort of like how much it really costs them, as in terms of a percentage of their earnings, because yeah, I mean it's a different time. Like people had their own full-time jobs. They didn't race as much back then either. We got 14 rounds these days. They had like 8 rounds back in the 80s. So different times, different things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what Chev bring after the Camaro. I like seeing Camaros when they're out on the road, but these are muscle, sporty cars that they're using for supercars these days. It's not Commodores and Falcons anymore, and you don't see a lot of those. You see a lot of the old ones that some people have got. I've got a Commodore, and at my work you see people with Commodores or Falcons, but you also see people with a whole lot of different stuff as well. That's just sort of whatever it is to them, dual cab utes, little hatchbacks, sedans that aren't, it's a bygone era. So yeah, thanks for the messages, dude. Any other questions? Yeah, definitely put them down, and I'll try to respond to them. All right, so going back to 1997 with Glenn Seaton, he was a bit surprised, I think, how successful he was that year, because he had to strip back to a one-car team in 1996 and parted ways with Alan Jones. And yeah, he was he won the championship that year as a single car team. I think by that point, still quite a few people running their own team, but definitely by the late 90s here, it's harder to find people who are running their own show, and especially by 2002, it was gone. No one was doing it anymore. But there's the end of Peter Brock's career. He was still winning races. His teammate was Greg Murphy in 1997. Murph was actually pretty good. Um, it's something that I've been thinking about recently because I've been watching the 2006 championship. Murph lost the 1997 championship because of progressive grids. The car kept breaking down, and basically, if you get screwed over at any point in the weekend, because of let's say you start on pole and the car won't start. I think it happened at Sandown. He started on pole. He qualified on pole position, and the car wouldn't start. So he had to start from pit lane. So he had to wait for everybody else to go past and pick his way through the field. And it's not like they were phenomenally fast or anything, but it was a really crappy time for him. I think Peter Brock didn't have quite as much trouble as Murph had. So maybe it was something to do with the way Brock liked to look after the cars. But I think even in '96, Brock was being told to stay away and not mess around with the cars. But maybe that's just something he hadn't thought about, or there's a lot of interesting detail in Peter Brock and Australian touring car racing. But yeah, Greg Murphy lost the 1997 championship because of progressive grids. That's not just an unreliable car, but he was winning races, and because of the progressive grids, it's not like if you didn't have progressive grids, he would have just put it on pole the next day, the next race. So he would have been on pole most of the time. I think it was only one round that he wasn't on pole. Glenn Seaton was good, but he wasn't that good against Murph. Like HRT were really good. Like obviously, if they could win the championship with Rookie Lowndes, they could do it in '97 with Rookie Murph. And then here in 1997, Wayne Gardner's team actually slims down to one car. Neil Crompton did do, I think, the first couple of rounds, but then he pulled out. I'm not sure on the details. I've got his book, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had to part ways with Wayne Gardner Racing. But he had a great time at that team, and he really helped him. And I think Wayne Gardner even wrote a bit saying how great Neil Crompton was for the team as a commercial guy. Like Crompo was really hands-on with making sure the sponsors really got a lot out of the sponsorship, and felt like they were being acknowledged and respected, because obviously, like, you're tipping in hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars these days. You want them to show up and say, "Hey, thanks for what you're doing here. We're going to tell you all about what we're doing here and what's going on. You can ask us as many questions as you like. We'll have a great time, and then we'll get back to business." That's just a relationship between sponsors and motorsport. And you could probably even say, like, if you were Toyota Camry branding on Adelaide Crows, I'm sure there's some dinners that get had with footy players and business executives. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So 1997, so Gibson Motorsport slimmed down in '96. Skaife did the full-time year in '96. He did most of '97, but not every round. They didn't have a lot of money, but '97 is when you think of '97 and Skaife. Well, first of all, you think of, well, to me, this is what I think of. I think of Calder Park 1997. I think he had Sega on the bonnet. It was like a Sega Saturn, Gibson Motorsport Holden Commodore. But then later in the year, he parted ways with Gibson Motorsport and drove for Holden Racing Team. So late in the year, he switched to HRT and began his relationship with them. Then Engel was getting good. Obviously, Richo was pretty good, but he's driving for a bit of a privateer team in Gary Rogers Motorsport. And Gary was a bit more... I think like Perkins Motorsport was definitely a better team to drive for back at that time, because Russell Ingall was winning races, getting poles, doing a great job. Even Perkins was getting them as well. But particularly in '97, Seaton, Bow, Brock, Murph, maybe not so much Brock. Those guys were in the mix. for the championship. 1998. So this is when it starts to get a bit more professional and the grids start getting massive. So 97, not so much. 98, kaboom. Like, you almost have to scroll down the page. 36, most of the time, competitors. You got Rod Nash down there in 1998. Rod Nash, for those who don't know, is a co-owner of Tickford Racing. And who else you got? You got your John Briggs driving down there. You got Mick Donoghue, one of those privateers from, the late 90s, early 2000s. That was him. Stephen Johnson, full time or most of the time in 1998. That's interesting because he wasn't driving for his dad's team. Like, here's Dick Johnson, 1998, doing the full season. Here's Stephen Johnson, 1998. I think it was the Old Care Commodore, Old Care Falcon, what he was driving. He was, I think Stevie J actually did a couple rounds in like 96, 95 as well as an extra entry for Dick Johnson Racing. But full-time didn't happen for Stevie J until 2000. But then you got a couple of other debutants in 1998. Bargwanna, Bright, Tander. Now, a notable absence is Stephen Richards because he did his first 2 or 3 rounds, 98, and then he went off to go and have a go at 2-litre racing in Europe. And it didn't pay off, and then in 99, there was no room for him at Gary Rogers, so he had to come back in a different seat. But interesting stuff going on at Gary Rogers at the time. Had to part ways with Stephen Richards and got a couple of ferocious talents in Jason Bargwanna and Garth Tander. So, yeah, good times. Alan Jones in 1998. Oh, here we go. Who was he driving for? I tell you what, there's not a lot of races of 98. It's hard to find a lot of that stuff, but off the top of my head, I cannot tell you who he drove for. But he wasn't driving for his own team. He was driving for someone else. And I want to say Longhurst, but I'm not sure. So there's that. Obviously, Skaife's driving for HRT in 1998. Craig Lowndes comes back in 1998 because in 1997, for those who don't know, he went to drive what is today Formula 2, which is just crazy to think about. Imagine going from Australian touring car race. Imagine driving V8 supercars, and then let's say Brody Kostecki goes to drive Formula 2 next year. Wouldn't that be insane? Wouldn't you be like, what the hell are you doing, Brody? What the hell are you doing jumping in a Formula 2 car? But back at this time, open wheeler racing in Australian motorsport was a much bigger deal than it is today. It's almost non-existent, and I think unless you're going the Formula 1 route, you're wasting your time. And back in this time, especially in the mid to early 90s, people, and even today, people will chase the Formula 1 dream, and if they can't get there, they come back and race supercars. Like Zane Goddard, Thomas Randall, Scott Pye. Off the top of my head, got Marcus Ambrose, guys who wanted to try and make it, and they ran out of money, and the opportunity dried up, and that was the end of it. James Courtney, another great example. Will Davison. Those guys wanted to make it to Formula 1. Supercars was just sort of a backup. But there are also, and maybe increasingly in the 90s here, especially once the sport got really commercialized and you could actually get paid to race in supercars and make some decent money and make a livable wage as a racing driver. People started, with the young kids coming through, they started to see supercars as, hey, maybe I would just do supercars. It's you're not spending phenomenal amounts of money to trying to get to Formula 1. You can just jump. You can just get involved in supercars. Russell Ingall, another great example of someone who had to go and try to get to Formula 1. Made his day, came back in 1995, Won Bathurst with Larry Perkins. Larry expanded to a second car, another Castrol car. Boom, done easy. So what else we got? Thomas Mazira set up his own team in '98. There's some interesting stuff going on there because his was like a privateer team, but I've seen a photo of it and I'm like, there's some great photos. Like V8 Sleuth is such a great resource these days because there's a lot that happened in the late '90s in V8 supercars, and even in the early '90s, there's a lot going on. The Thomas Mazira set up his own racing team, and it was like a professional outfit. They had a truck, they had a car, they had like a whole thing going on. And he was having a go. It wasn't particularly competitive because obviously you got your Perkins, DJR, Glenn Seaton, Tony Longhurst, HRT, all these bigger teams, but much more successful. That was what was going on. Even Gary Rogers was a great team to drive for back, especially once they got to 1998. They were starting to rack up some podiums. So I have to scroll up because now it goes off the page. And this is a bit of a crossroads in the period of supercars history because it started to get really big where heaps of people were racing 30-car grids at rounds. And then once it started getting really commercialized and really people started to get priced out of it. So by 2003, the grid starts coming back up. People couldn't afford to do it anymore, probably because there's a lot more racing going on. But interesting stuff to look into. I think I don't really know all the details about why those people pulled out, but it's probably more affordable back in like 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, particularly like 99. Must have been a lot more affordable to do V8 supercar racing back then. Yeah. Jake Johnson's last year in '99. Tony Longhurst last year in his own team, and John Bauer leaves Dick Johnson Racing to go to PAE Motorsport, the Caterpillar Falcon. Skaife, the one I remember about '99 was he won the most rounds, but he didn't win the championship. Lowndes he did, and Lowndes, like, look at how much more experience Skaife is than Lowndes. He's way up there. But yeah, interesting stuff. Richo's come back with Gibson. So Missouri did 1 year. Okay. It's complicated. It's so complicated. I guess he did 1 year in '98 with one team. '99 set up his own team. So complicated stuff. I've got like a list of things to talk about. I'm not even sure how far I'm going to get tonight because we're an hour in, and I've gone from 1969 to 1999. I've only covered 30 years now, and I got another 25 years to cover. So I don't know. I might have a break or something. Who knows? A bootleg champagne. Australia became multicultural, so the average Joe isn't on that race on Sunday, buy on Monday thing because other nationalities don't have interest in car racing. I'm not sure what you're responding to. I've said a lot of things in the last little while. Obviously, I don't check the chat while I'm rabbiting on doing my thing. The average Joe isn't. Oh, I guess, are we talking about like Commodore Falcon, the Chev? Yeah. Like the way I see supercars, it's just a motorsport category. I don't look at supercars to work out what my next car's going to be. And a lot of people have second-hand cars. A lot of people have flash cars that they can't afford. But yeah, and at work I got random cars. Yeah, and people don't really have. Some people have flash cars to sort of show off. But other people are happy to have a little bucket of shit that works, and that's happy. That's what does the job for them. Some people complaining about supercars being too expensive. Maybe, yeah. Um, the same boomers saying we're lazy. Yeah. Oh, things are just more expensive these days. One of my workmates was talking about how $40 for KO. It's still $30, right? I haven't checked in the last little while. $40 is like the 4K version, right? I think I just pay, but I meant to buy $1 million property. No, no, I got priced out of where I used to live with my parents. It was 100K when you were my age. Um, I don't know. Hang on, I'm 29. I don't know how old you think I am. Um, Frustrates with the contradiction. Yeah. Oh, it's just that things are more expensive these days. It's probably been going on a lot longer than just the last few years, I think. Because you go back to like 1993 or something, people used to buy a house for a $50 deposit, stuff like that. These days, I think I paid something like 15 grand or something crazy, as in the boomers. 30%. Oh, okay. Yeah, you should put like quotation marks or something. That was 100K when you were my age. When I was your age, that sort of thing. Yeah, always the way. Um, but yeah, I've had old people say how much tougher it is these days. But especially when they get older and they kind of they have transition into like retirement and stuff. You live in Sydney. Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in Sydney. I wouldn't recommend it. If because I'd be living in like the outer suburbs. I currently live in like the outer suburbs because like the further out you go, the cheaper it gets. But yeah, there's a lot of detail there. We can talk about that all day. We can talk about racing a bit more, but um, supercars too expensive. People don't buy 15 minutes from SMP. That's a great spot. I mean, I live like 10 minutes from Malala, so um, that's. But I wouldn't go to Malala because there's nothing interesting going on there that I watch unless it was like production car racing. But I don't know how much it costs to get in. $1 million a pop out there. Yeah, I mean some of it's just location, location, location. SMP is next to a rubbish tip. Yeah, well that's what they used to say. Like it depends on where the wind's blowing, right? That you can smell it. Yeah, yeah. But definitely, these days when people talk about relevance in supercars and the cars that we're racing, like we're talking about racing a Supra, and people are like, "Oh, you're racing a dead car." It's like it's a cool car. Like, how many Supras have they sold in Australia? Right? You're probably gonna find them. Like you see Toyota 86s, and people are gonna look at the 96 and think it's basically the same thing as a Supra and want to buy it. So it's not that far off. And you can obviously buy Mustangs these days. Um, Chevrolet is obviously much more of a premium brand. You understand why Super has to be a relevant car. Yeah, I mean, it's just a race car to me. It's a race car. Cars that you want to buy are completely different from cars that you don't look at Formula One and go, I want to buy a Mercedes or a Ferrari. Like, yeah, it's about racing. We're just watching racing. There's some interesting information out there about like different oil brands and different businesses that like brands that you've never heard of that you might go, oh, I didn't know that existed. Um, like I'm still not sure what the hell Cool Drive do, but um, here for the personalities, not the car brands. I didn't care about that. Yeah. Um, yeah. Personalities, the racing. Um, I don't know what I like more, if I like the racing more or the personalities more, because you usually just watch the races. We need to move towards F1. We just need it in terms of marketing. Yeah, I get that. Um, um, uh, we got too many boomers running the show. I think it's 1990. Exactly. Like, I had this sort of idea about, because we got all these these additional commentators they're chucking in, um, like Mark Winterbottom and Scott Pye. Can we start having a couple of those guys, just like every couple of years? It'd be like, oh, we've got Tim Slade running around pit lane interviewing people. It's not fair exactly to the people who are currently doing those jobs. They're doing a great job. Um, but having something a little bit different every now and then will keep people coming back. Says dumb shit, but he keeps trying to like spice it up with new ideas. I appreciate his efforts to spice stuff up. I don't like some of the things. Like Supercars is, first of all, we've got a great racing product already. Um, it's a bit complicated with parity and stuff. Um, and if there's a genuine issue, then yeah, fix it. Like the introducing new safety car rules at Tail and Bend. And I watched the Lucky Dog podcast with Brody Kostecki and Will Brown, and they were talking about a truck couldn't get onto the track because they had to wait for the cars. I was like, that's a great point. They should fix that. You can't. I mean, and they're immediately doing that for the next round. So for Tail and Bend, they're introducing slow zones, and I think that was a Brody Kostecki and Will Brown idea. So get on it. That's great. Um, yeah. Um, Scott Pye and oh, what's his damn name? I keep forgetting his name. The way he goes about it, I like, because he yearns for knowledge, but Supercars hates getting the info he wants. Yeah, I do like. What was it? I do like. I do like having Scott Pye, Elliot Barber. Yeah, he's a Barbs. He's the one I've had a photo with Elliot Barber, and I freaking still can't remember his damn name. Um, they had Shane Van Gisbergen's spotter on, and that was great. And they had James Small on. Though I watched both of them or listened to both of them. Great shows that they've put out in the last week, I think. James Small obviously was in Supercars. He told the story of how he got into it. Um, he he was with Gary Rogers in like 2006, and uh, what else? Then the spotter, just talking about like how spotting works. And Scotty Pye was talking about, oh, should we introduce spotters to Supercars? And I think SVG was saying you can't do it like every track, but you could do it at like Queensland Raceway quite easily. But I'm thinking, do you really need to do that? Like, if NASCAR have got spotters, how come they have so many crashes? Like, what are they spotting them for? Look out, there's a crash. Yeah, thanks, mate. Thank you. That's what I needed to know. Uh, um, I don't think spotters are needed in supercars. Um, Finals are obviously an interesting thing. And I think it's important to keep the conversation going about new ideas. It's always good, always important in anything really. If you listen to spotter radio on the NASCAR radio, yeah. SVG mentioned what do they call it? Radioactive. I actually want to listen to that because he mentioned it. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to listen to. Just listening to what the guys are saying to one another. I'm like, we need that in supercars. I would love to be a fly on the wall of anyone in the field, just listening to that. I'll mute the TV and just turn radio days into something that you can just tune in. Um, that stuff would be awesome in supercars. just engineers. Listening to Andrew Edwards talking to Will Brown, Will's going, God, what having a mental breakdown. He's like the Lando Norris of supercars. Scott Pye just likes to spew out ideas and whatever sticks. I like that about him. He knows he can come off stupid, but he likes to push back because that's what makes conversation. Yeah. Oh, since Apex Hunters has come out, Scotty Pye chucking his opinion out there, saying random shit. That's great. I love that. He doesn't try to be right. He wants conversation, and that's what he keeps on saying. I think he said it. Some people are saying, they don't like what he's saying. He's like, just engage with me, talk to me about it. I don't know. I can be wrong. That's great. That's like what I'm doing here. I'm sure you're the same. Like, we've got our opinions on things, and just talking about it gets us to where we want to be, which is we want to be in the best spot possible. The average fan has this superiority complex and wants to insult each other. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the average fan, because the opinion differs, or they think you should have known something. Yeah, I suppose if we look at like the YouTube comments or the Speed Cafe comments, it can be a bit. Basically, a lot of those sorts of people are diehards, and occasionally you do have people who aren't that familiar with the sport. But anyone who says something like, "Oh, AAA to rigging the rules and shit like that," I hate those sorts of people because they're not interested in having a conversation. They just want to tell you what they think. Those are the ones that have a superiority complex. Even diehards are uneducated. Some of the diehards are stuck in the 80s, stuck in the 90s. You know, when I was a kid, it was like 06, 07. And I've recently been watching the 2006 championship. The point system was rubbish. So, you can see some of them just don't care for a nuanced conversation, yeah. And some of them do, and those are the ones we like. The ones that just talk rubbish, no, don't give them the time of day. Dumbest point system ever. Have you seen the 2001 point system? 2001 was like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, 06 was just as bad. I think it was like 192 points for a race win, and different rounds give different points. I'll stop what I've got here for a second, and we'll bring up 2006 championship just to look at the monstrosity that is this freaking point system. So first 3 race format, normal race, 128 points for a win. Reverse grid race, 64 points, so that adds up to 192. The second 3 race format, I think that means because later in the year they got rid of the reverse grid races. So they went to Gold Coast, no more reverse grid races. So then they introduced the 3 race format for that. So it's 107 points per win. 160 points for a race win. So it's a 320 point round, roughly. But it's so complicated. But I think 01 is actually the worst. So I'm pretty sure it's 01. Where it's just like, what the hell is going on here? Here we go. Point system 1, 90 points per race win. It's just like overly complicated here. Like, what the fuck am I looking at? It's kind of similar these days as well. But in 01, it's like 540 points if you win Bathurst. So 2001 was Skaife, 552 points there. So what was the extra 12 points for? I don't know, fastest lap or something, pole position. Complicated, dude. But just like so many of these rounds, it's just like, how many points do they get? I don't know, this amount. Threw it at a wall. I really liked the old way of I think we've still got it with 300 points per round. But back here, it's like you don't even know how many points you're getting per round. It's just something insane. So points for quali. Hang on, is that what that said? Oh, you said a few things. I just wanna. Yes, I am. I'm going on the Sunday. For the bend. So it's next weekend. Going on the Sunday. Going to Bathurst, but leaving after the shootout. Watching the race at home. The last reverse grid race was Oran Park. Yep. Points for quali. You got to make an overlay so you can see chat. Yeah, I'm running all this through YouTube, and it maybe soonish I'm gonna have to get OBS to work. Yeah. While I'm on other pages. Well, I won't be able to see the chat here. I'd have to make it so that chat runs in a different window or something. Here we go. Pop out chat. If I do that, and I do that, there I can see you. Yeah, I got the one monitor, but I'm doing a thing. I'm working on it. Magic's happening, dude. Hold your horses. So if I run this here, all right, I go to O. Now, tell me how that's looking. I'm showing Firefox here. Does it look terrible, or because I have got the Firefox sort of squashed in a square here. So you let me know how that looks. If it looks terrible, we just don't do it. The screen is like, it's probably a square, dude. Qualifying points were issued for the first race of each weekend only. Okay. The screen's weird. I can see you chatting. I can move this a bit like that, and I move your chat down to like here. Move that to like there. Okay. How's that looking? 540 points for one race is egregious. Yeah. But that's for Bathurst. 540 points for Bathurst. But Skaife won Bathurst. So you got qualifying points. Oh, hang on. 18 points for pole. Who got pole in 01? Oh, Ambrose. Skaife as well. Hang on. So you got 540 plus what? 12 points. Skaife qualified 5th. Right, that's a lot better. All right, cool. We'll try to do that next time. Because even if I ran this through OBS, I don't have a second monitor. I'd have to have it on my phone. This kind of works for me because I can see you on the side here. Still black rather on the side of each side. That's just because I'm sharing Firefox here and it's square, and obviously if it's a widescreen showing, then it's going to have those black bars on the side. But I think it works well enough. Yeah, I don't care what the aspect ratio would be. Yeah, as long as you can see what we're talking about. Yeah, it looks fine. Awesome. So I got that going for us. Now I don't have to ramble and not know what you're saying. So yeah, we'll roll with that. We're getting there. Okay, so yeah, qualifying points. The top 10 get points. So yeah, Skaife, I guess, qualified 5th for Bathurst. So he got 12 points. Then he won the race. So he got 540 points. The guy's channel that does the race highlights. Yeah, is it Spevy Max? I haven't watched. I think I watched one, which was like Dale Wood crashing into people at Bookie. The thing is, it's like it's cool, but I remember a lot of those things that he's talking about. There's the 07 Winton. He was talking about, it was a crazy last couple of laps racing, and it's like, isn't that like, how he's getting away with it? I mean, well, I'm getting away with it with showing older races. So basically, I think it's up to 2022 you can get away with it. So that's what's going on. That's what you can get away with. More recent stuff like 2025. Yeah, well, yeah, but even I did reactions to 2025, I think Darwin, and I got pinged, so people from New Zealand couldn't watch. So yeah, tough times. Ah, yeah, so it applies across the board. It might be after the stream, so if it's live, maybe we don't get pinged. Once it starts processing on YouTube, YouTube's what do you call it? Processors will find those things. What race am I up to for the 06 season? The second race of Phillip Island. I'm so close to finishing the thing, to finishing the races. I got a couple takes actually about the 06 championship. The first thing is, so they're talking about how good Lowndes, how shocking are the stewards back then. Um, what was it? I was watching a race and I can't remember what they were talking about. I think it was Crompo was like, I wouldn't have given him that penalty. And so, yeah, I haven't really noticed it too much. Someone got a pit lane drive through. Who was it? At Bahrain. I thought it wasn't too bad. It might have been Jason Richards. I have no circumstantial awareness for tiny shit. Yeah, well, I haven't really watched the full thing. I think I started watching it from like Queensland onwards. So I've watched every race from Queensland onwards. I have watched other races more sporadically. Drive through for blocking. Oh, getting punished at all for blocking shouldn't be a fucking rule. Not at all. We should get the SVG experience. Shove them out the way. If they're too slow, shove them out the way. That's what it should be. That's fine in my book. If you punt them, like you just brake later and just biff them off, that's not fine. SVG style, pick up the rear tires and move them out the way. Can do that. But it's also, I think it's also fair. Give a bit, get a bit. So you do a bit back, and then that's fine. Paul Morris on Todd Kelly, 2007 Bahrain. I'm gonna watch the 07 championship next. There's a couple of interesting things like when announcements come out. So I'm up to Phillip Island. Jason Bright is confirmed at Brightech. Nobody is confirmed at Perkins. Who else? Any other changes for 07? I think WPS confirmed that they're having no changes. Winton Race 1, 2007 Winton Race 1. No commentary, just raw. I did see that one. Todd Kelly in the fucking ditch. Oh my god. I was just watching it like, I guess I'm doing my own commentary, just watching it like, oh, there's such and such. Oh, there's such and such. Like Jack Perkins qualified 7th, but it must have been wet quali or something. I just got lucky. But yeah. Surely there must have been commentary, but for some reason there just wasn't any in that YouTube video. There's that. But yeah, 2006, Mark Skaife, he had a crappy year, but it only got like he had a bad start, and then he was winning rounds. Licensing, yeah, something must have been weird. But it's only that one race, so it might have just been a mistake or something. I don't know. I don't know if the broadcast was actually like that or if it was just they accidentally uploaded the wrong one. What's going on? But on the website that you sent me, they got it with the commentary on the Russian website. Okay, yeah, I haven't actually got around to looking into that, but I've got that in the back of my mind. Like I'm thinking, I wonder what 2008, 2009, 2010 race I might want to watch. Oh, and today, the 2010 pit lane order. What the hell is going on? I'm watching the last race at Sydney, and they're talking to Jamie Whincup at the end of the race. He comes through. The first garage is Triple F and Techno. Then the next one is Dick Johnson Racing, and the one after that is FPR, and then the one after that Stone Brothers. It's such a mess of a pit lane order. It's so much simpler these days, I think, but it was like wildly complicated. And HRT won the championship or the team's championship in 2009, and they got to decide what they were going to do for 2010. So they were at the front of the pit lane order because of the one car teams. Yeah, but also the 3 car teams as well. That's what made it complicated. You got the 1 car teams like Triple F, Techno, and then you've got Tony D'Alberto's team and all that. And then you've also got the 3 car teams like at the time you got Brad Jones Racing, FPR, Stone Brothers, and you got your 4 car teams like Walkinshaw's, where so HRT had the pick: do they stay at the first car in the order? And Walkinshaw Racing, we're gonna be 4th. And I thought, what the hell? Why? They were 10th in the team's championship. That's why they're so far back. That's SBR and FPR. That's why they're that far back. Yeah, but it's like the opposite of what it used to be. Like these days, if you go back to like 2018, they used to put them together. So Techno and the Lowndes entry used to be, they used to share it, and so the Techno car as a single car team, they got to join up there and be further up the grid. So that used to happen. Yeah. So yeah, FPR and SBR they shared the pit boom there. Yeah, and that worked obviously. But it just seemed a bit overly complicated. Like, yeah, it's just so complicated. So some of it shouldn't be that complicated, but it was. Walkinshaw got their second garage. Yeah. So what happened for 2010 was, I think, they could either have the Walkinshaw team 4th in the order, and I was like, why? They came 10th in the championship. They should be 10th. 2009, they took the last 2 garages. All right. Now the language is getting a bit confusing here. Walkinshaw got their second garage. Yeah. So they wanted to have it right next to one another in 2009. That's what they did, right? Oh, was that a choice thing? Because they didn't win the team's championship in 08, did they? That would have been Triple Eight. HRT in 2009. Yeah. Use the last 2 garages. Okay. Yeah. Got it. And yeah, I think that's what Will Davison's quote was from 2009. He was saying, it's great to have everyone together like that, but the first one in the order, that's what they want. And because they won the 2009 teams, they got to choose, and they chose first because they get the advantage, or they supposedly get the advantage. It seems to me, yeah, they did get to choose. I read the article in Speed Cafe. For some reason, Bundaberg team. Their extra cars sucked ass. Got the garage after them. Yeah, probably because they chose to have the last 2 garages. The fact that they had the choice, though, is kind of ridiculous. I guess everybody else was like, yeah, we'll take the bump up. Thank you. But so it's an interesting thing that they decided to do there. Little nitty-gritty things. You know what I saw today? So I was writing up some Excel spreadsheets because I love supercars. And 2011 Queensland round, that's why 2010 DJR and FPR were at the back, because they chose as well, because they wanted to put. Okay, they must have changed the rules later on, because I think by 2013 it was pretty clear cut. Probably because of all this shenanigans there in 2009, 2010. Yeah, because they're sister teams, they shared teams. Yeah, because the sister teams shared. Yeah, they're extra entries. Techno and I don't. Where was with Fiore? Okay, yeah. Dumbrell and Slade. Dumbrell and the Rod Nash car. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Stone Brothers and FPR shared. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So the Queensland round 2011, the first two races were progressive grid. Because I remember watching it thinking, how come Garth Tander's down the back in this race? I mean, obviously the qualifying was shit. Yeah, Jono Webb was at DJR in 2010. But his entry was they did own that entry. They were called Techno. But yeah, Queensland 2011. They had two races on the Saturday, and it was a progressive grid. Like qualified for the first race, and your position at the end of the first race determined your starting position of the second race, and then 2011 they went independent. Techno went independent in 2011. Yes. But yeah, the Queensland round was progressive grid for the second race, and then the Sunday race was had a quali session. So crazy, interesting idea. 2010 was still a DJR car, so it didn't count to Techno's win tally, I don't think. Yes. Well, so that was a customer relationship. So, but then, I mean, yeah, I think it was like, in the same way that like Charlie Schwerko owned the number 18 entry in 2011 and 12. So, 222 lap races. Yeah, exactly. 22 Lowndes stat padded that weekend bad. Lowndes, he just wrecked everyone, I think. He was so fast. It was him. J-Dub had the shitty one, and then Slady was in the mix. So Slady was second in the first one. Then Whincup came through the field, and yeah, it was 15 minutes. It was just like, slap some new tires on it and fuel it up and let's go. It was actually Damien White was the operations manager for Supercars back then. So he was like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Damien White, first of all, he did a fair share of Bathursts, V8 Ute champion, and then just getting involved in Supercars. You can't stand his tweets. What, Damien White? Hang on. We talking about Damien White? Or? Really? All right, I'm missing out, obviously. I'm missing out if he does the high and mighty stuff. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, some people just think that they know everything and they're like, this is how you fix everything. Formula One are talking about having shorter races. Ugh. Maybe you'd like it. Yeah, maybe I would. Guess we'll see. I'll have to look into it. Damien White doing tweets. That'd be interesting. Yeah, all right. We'll go back to 06. So, Craig Lowndes obviously came second in the championship, had a shot at the title. But he never got a pole position. He doesn't tweet as often now. He used to heaps. Yeah, that's fair enough. Probably like 2011 or something like that. He probably used to do it a lot more then. Maybe a few years later when he wasn't involved in Supercars. But Craig Lowndes didn't get a pole position in 2006. And neither did Rick Kelly. as in qualifying on pole, like doing the qualifying session and being first in qualifying. There were 4 guys who racked up poles. Scotty Mack era, he did heaps. Oh, okay, cool. Like 2017. Yeah. All right, that would have been interesting. Pole money back then was nasty too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 2006, we're talking armor all pole position. Like, yeah. In 06. Yeah. 5K for a pole. That'll pay the bills. Bloody hell. So yeah. Guys who got on pole: Garth Tander, Mark Skaife, Todd Kelly, Jason Bright. 4 pole sitters in 2006. Craig Lowndes wasn't one of them, but Lowndesy had always been a bit of he wasn't that good at getting poles. A bit like Shane Van Gisbergen. But 2006 Skaife, Whincup must be a millionaire from his poles alone. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Whincup has got shit tons of money. I'm sure he's got heaps. Probably from bonuses. But obviously a millionaire just from poles. And Scotty Mack too. The money wasn't their problem. Went to the 2-race format. Yeah. It was still 2.5K. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Because he was just eating them up. Yeah. I mean, Jamie Whincup was the freaking GOAT, dude. I don't like people talking shit about him, saying, "Oh, he was." Yeah. All right. I'll do what I was saying. Jamie Whincup was the GOAT. So, Mark Skaife, 2006. All right. He came 16th in the championship, obviously, and he had the crappy round at Adelaide. But then he starts winning rounds. GOAT indeed. Yeah. So Skaife, hang on, where was it? I think was it after Queensland? He was 7th in the championship. So he had a crappy start to the year. Starts racking up round wins, like he was doing really well. Winton starts to fall to pieces. Darwin not so great. Queensland. From Queensland onwards, he's in the shit. Because he had a reverse grid race win. Horrible time through the Enduros. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Just a terrible time. And, Bahrain was okay. Second race, I think he punted someone. That's I watched it in the last week. He punted someone and got a drive through, I think. And Phillip Island finally has a clean round. Okay, so there's just this is the shit part of his season. And dropped the worst round in 06. I mean, you just dropped DNF at Bathurst. I think actually Frosty in 2006 said, yeah, we'll probably drop this round because that was their DNF. Obviously, Frosty's only DNF. Bridie had quite a few. Bridie, Garth, and Skaife probably should have been further up in the championship. They were that good. Shit just kept going wrong. That's just and progressive grids screwed him over so much, especially Greg Murphy. Shit just went wrong constantly. And it's oh, you had a DNF? Yeah, you have to start at the back. So Murph starting from dead last, probably near the back of the first race at Pukekohe, claws his way up to 15th. And then now some of these rounds had an accumulated grid thing as well. I think some of them did. An accumulated starting position. But some of them, it was just yeah, you start this position. So, aggressive driver wasn't good enough to be. If that makes sense. Greg Murphy. Yeah, and some of it was himself. For example, you talk about Murph? Pushy but left the door open too often for the payback. Mm. Mm. Barbagallo. Great example. Barbagallo, where is it? Is the first race or the third race? Murphy is battling with Lowndes, so it must have been the first race because he was nowhere otherwise. Battling with Lowndes. And he just closed the door on Lowndes and got himself turned around at turn 1. I'm like, Murph, I love you, but you did that to yourself. Like, that was just a dumb move. I don't know. How did you not know that Craig Lowndes was going to be on the inside of that corner? It's just a screw up, that was. Too many stupid things. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then be so pissed off. Yeah. I mean, Cameron Hill, Queensland, great example. Like, why are you pissed off at Zach Bates that hard? He's probably just jealous, you know? Probably more jealous than anything. There was an unnecessary one at Bahrain that I watched this week. Frosty he came 27th in this race, and he was trying to unlap himself, and pass Greg Murphy, and they were just banging into each other, damaging Frosty. Like, I think like his front bumper got pushed onto the tire, started smoking it up, and I'm like, this is completely pointless. Like, you are lapped. Wait until there's a straight and pass him, knowing who to let go and who to fight. Yeah. And you know what? I don't know who Frosty's engineer was in 2006, but he was saying something like, "Oh, I think Murph's got mechanical issues, so he's probably a bit pissed off." And it's like, dickhead, you're 27th. You're 27th. Murph is legitimately running 12th. Well, he finished 12th, but he was running in the top 10. And why are you bothering trying to fight him? Just get to the end of the race with a clean race car. All right? Finish. That's kind of all you can do. How many points do you get for 27th? Freaking 24 points. You're gonna need it that badly? I mean, Frosty was battling for the championship, but still, it was like money must have been that good to be like, yeah, we'll just throw the car at him and hope it fixes something. But stuff like that costs you championships. Rick Kelly is a fraud. Rick Kelly is a fraud, he says. Maybe. You're gonna have to elaborate on that, dude. Why is Rick Kelly a fraud? Yep. That it was probably somebody else's championship, that's for sure. I don't know if it was Lowndes' though. Lowndes was the most consistent driver of the year for sure. Like, look at the glory. Look at these top tens. That's how you mount a title challenge. At Bathurst, he was in the lead. Taking out your direct rival. Yeah, like maybe don't do that. He was in the lead, wasn't he in the lead of the championship, right? So all you have to do is finish directly behind him. Just sit there, cruise around, save some tires. But nope, it was like, I want to pass him and I want to win the race. Which, you know, I appreciate that, but yeah, taking out your brother. Crazy. I wonder if there's been some like good interviews talking about that. like just what Rick Kelly has to say about it. I think it was equal points going to the last race. Okay, because Lowndes, so as you can see here, so I think after Bahrain, well, I mean, look, so whoever finishes ahead of who, yeah, I don't know about equal points, but I think Rick was in the lead over Lowndes, had a really crap one in the second race there. That's why he was being desperate. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely controversial and unfortunate. Like, that's not what we want, you know? But it goes up there as one of the greatest moments in Supercars history. Todd dominated. Oh, Todd was so good, dude. Look at him. First, and fifth. I'm not sure what happened in that third race, but Todd was unbelievable. On the clawback. He was like, I think he got taken out. What am I? You just said, didn't you? You just said taking a brother in the process, yeah. But to come fifth after that, you're lucky there. I think he just got spun, didn't he? But yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on in the 06 season for sure. So not just the championship. So when Leon spins, yeah, he tagged, he consequently tags Todd and spins him. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, but I mean, like Mark Skaife, 2002 Canberra. Some people just they get frustrated and they're just like, yeah, Will Davison wouldn't have hit him. Yeah. Oh, it was such a disaster. After he spins. Wait. So when Leon spins, he rolls forward. It pisses me off why he didn't hold the brake. Davison would. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Interesting one. Good take. Yeah. Yeah, Lounsey. What are you being a dumbass for? Just sit there. Come back through the field. Come 10th. But stupid move that was. Stupid move. So then some other great things. Rick was getting a drive through regardless. Yeah, because punt him, get a drive through. Oh my god, dude. How's a drive through after all that happens? Yeah. How does drive through all that happens? Yeah, I don't know. It's like if it's malicious, right? Right? I mean, we were talking about Cameron Hill. He ran Zach Bates off the track on purpose, and got a drive through. That was the penalty. On F1 weekends, you got to start these earlier. Oh, that's right. It's Monza, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I just do it at the same time all the time because it just works better for me. But also, like, I like to go for like 3 hours, so um I gotta have dinner at some stage, So I mean, I could have dinner at like 6 or something, but part of my schedule at the moment is to have dinner at like 8 o'clock. So yeah, true. I don't know why the last few weekends. Yeah, race starts at 11. Yeah, I mean, what was the last one we had? It was the last weekend, the Dutch Grand Prix. Yeah, I'm just like, it's kind of crazy that we're having like late night starts. I'm so used to races being in the middle of Europe starting at like 2 a.m. So there must be something going on in Formula One about race start times. Usually starts at midnight. Yeah. I think particularly in like the Middle East, it starts at like a really weird time. Obviously, ones in like sort of Singapore, Japan, China. are a lot closer to us. So it's closer to a reasonable time for us. Like I had someone over to watch Japan. It was daytime, like whoever they race or wherever they race, 2 p.m. everywhere. Okay, yeah, interesting. I don't know why. Should be like in the morning. They just it should be do the main show first. After that, watch the supports. There's supposed to be a support category, right? Not a we're here to watch the supports and then we watch the main show, like a warm up. Nah, get the main deal going so that you get everything done at a good time. Tail and Bends, their warm ups are like 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the races are like 3 o'clock. So it's just crazy. But back to 2006, Jason Richards. He was fast all year, but shit just went wrong like all year. How many laps is the race? Oh, it's probably the 161, isn't it? Let's look at it. Hang on, I'll bend. Yeah. Track schedule. What? The Bend, Long F. What do you mean 161? Yeah, okay, probably not 161 then. 102 laps. 102. So it's probably, obviously it's 500 kilometers. So yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, 102 laps. Bit weird, but okay. 161 laps. Yeah, just do it anyway. Do it anyway. I'm thinking Sandown. I'm so used to Sandown being 161 laps. Alright. Okay. Sandown track is exactly half the distance of Bathurst. That's why it's so good. It's like a mini Bathurst. You warm it up, find out if your co-driver's shit or not. But JR, what do we got? LWGIT. Hang on, I'm not sure what. Form guide if your co-driver is a donkey or not. Yes. Yeah. That's what I was saying about just pretty much. I mean, the fact that what's his damn name? Cam McLeod. The fact that Cam McLeod's still a co-driver, shocking me. Dylan O'Keefe, not so shocking. Jordan Boys, it's great to have a local in the car, but maybe Brad Vaughan should have been in Macca's car. Don't get rid of Roy Botham, who's done a great job. Yeah, I know. It's the bought seat team. It's Brad Jones Racing is the bought seat team, and I need to remember that. I need to call them BST instead of BJR because that's what they are. Kelly Racing used to be the same, except I think Kelly Racing was actually a bit more. I mean, obviously they got rid of Michael Caruso and put Gary Jacobson in, which is just a cardinal sin. But Gary wasn't the worst driver in the world. But Michael Caruso, dude, the guy was capable of top tens on a good day. When was Gary Jacobson going to get a top 10 in the Nissan? But yeah, I don't like money being the answer for everything. Yeah, Caruso, a lot worse than Caruso. Yeah. Caruso was really good actually in his. Hang on, was he? I don't watch him Caruso was pretty damn good in his rookie year. He was pretty damn impressive. What was I watching? 2009. I was watching 2009 Adelaide 500. Caruso got caught up in Greg Murphy doing something stupid, and gets put on the fence, destroys the car. He was the best at worst. Second best Kelly Racing driver. Yeah. Until Andre Heimgartner came along. I mean, even then, if you put Caruso and Heimgartner in a straight fight, you bet on Caruso. You'll be like, if you're going to, just in qualifying lap times, you would have been like, Caruso will out qualify Andre. Caruso just used to get unlucky in the races. His luck in 2018 was shocking. And I was like, I even did it. I tweeted him in 2018, and I'm like, I was so happy at Pukekohe because he got a top 10, and I'm like, yes, Michael, get us a top 10. And then the next race, some crap happens and he's out. But obviously, money talks. So if you don't have a big bag of cash, obviously Bryce Forward's going to get the ass at the end of the year if Blanchards don't sign him, and we pray. Bryce is not the worst driver on the grid. He's doing a great job for BJR. Don't let him lose his seat just because middies have pulled out. Like, we don't need money being the answer to we don't need the Jack Smiths and Lance Strolls of the world filling up the grid. We don't need that. We want legitimate talents, and we want every driver to be in on merit. Macca Jones, probably a good example of like, if every driver is getting better every year, how come younger drivers are doing better than older drivers? It's just insane like that. But yeah, 2006, Jason Richards, terrible luck. 2006, Gary Rogers, just a shit show. Comfortability. Why do you say comfortability? I have the worst short-term memory, dude. I'm like, obviously I can recount shit from years ago, but it's not even the rambling. At work, I have to double check what I just looked at, and I'll be like, I read it, I say it out loud, and I have to keep repeating it. Why young drivers do better jobs. It's not even just the younger drivers. It's that the ones that are younger, sometimes they get the opportunity in the right car. Jackson Evans, case in point, at Brad Jones Racing, it's his second season, and he's more than capable of beating Macca Jones quite regularly. And obviously just having a terrible run of luck at the moment. And it's just like, and what was it? Brad said something that made it plain obvious. Why young drivers do better jobs is comfortability. Yeah. It's like, don't get too comfy and think that your place is secured. Yeah. Phil gets better every year. Yeah, and that's it. That's why you're looking at guys like Will Davison. He said, well, he's my son. Yeah. He's like, oh, people keep on saying I've got 3 seats available, but one of them's my son. So he's confirmed then They asked him if Macca has a seat next year. It's just like, like Macca isn't. He's not. Macca's not a terrible driver. He's not involved in crashes all the time. He just shouldn't be down the. He should be the lead driver at Brad Jones Racing. Oscar had a shit start. Oh, did he? Do you want me to wrap this up and then we can all enjoy some Formula One? Fuck, who qualified on pole? Oh yeah, that's what I was looking at the freaking qualifying times, and I was watching. I don't know if you watch Matt and Tom P1, and they were doing their live qualifying reactions last night, and you can watch along. I mean, I can watch it, but I can't obviously without it on screen. Yeah, I could just do that. Yeah, we can do that. But Matt and Tom P1. Getting it KO. You're watching as well on your TV? Yeah. From live. And I guess I'll have to mute it as well. Yeah, I'll mute it. Lando's in the lead. Max is second. Gabby Bortoletto being amazing. But they were talking about, Piastri's going to get pole. Matty F1. That's not. Is that the one? Is that the same guy as P1 with Matt and Tommy? Because I used to be on a show called WTF1. Yeah. Of course, Max is getting it. Max has got legit pace. Max qualified on pole. He was fastest in Q2, fastest in Q3. What, Matty F1 is the same as Matt and Tommy. You just don't like his takes or something? This actually gives me a great opportunity to eat my food. So no to Hamilton. What the hell happened? Why is Hulk out? I've missed so much. His ideas suck sometimes. Yeah, well, you got to have those people though. I think he's fine. I think he's harmless. I don't mind it too much. They were doing their predictions, I think. Some of their predictions are a bit diluted. Blind Leclerc love. Okay. Matt's the one with the dark hair, right? I'm confusing him. Oh, I was talking about Tom. That's who I was thinking of. The blind Leclerc love. Yeah. We love that. We love his blind Ferrari love. I do like that Tom is just chill. Blind Verstappen love, but he's fair about it. Tom is chill. Tom is cool. He's good. Oh, the livery, the Ferrari livery, the Niki Lauda livery. I don't know, the inciting hate type stuff. Yeah, yeah. Rumors. Not really rumors, because 3 screenshots of it. Of what rumors? Of Maddie being a weirdo. Oh God, really? Yeah. Maddie doesn't have a girlfriend or anything, does he? Because Tom's married, I think. He's married. I think he's got like a kid as well. Yeah, I think Tom's married and or something like that. They were talking about it, I think. Yeah. Dedicated haters. I mean, fair, I guess. If he's been like that, then you get what you get. What was that? Piastri on Leclerc. Get him. Oh, Jesus Christ. And we got Russell behind him. Where did Oscar qualify? Third? Did both McLarens have a crap start? Yeah, we were really sure I could bring it up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. If it's over, if it's already been done to death, some people like just bring shit up. Norris second, Piastri third, and quali, yeah. So Piastri must have had a bad start, yeah. Both of them had a bad start. Well, Max must have a bad start. Ocon Stroll incident, forcing another driver off the road. Who do you think did it? I think it looks like Ocon must have run Stroll off the road. Lawson from dead last, I saw, up to 15th. He was only a couple tenths off of freaking Hadjar. Hadjar's down 18th, but he's on hard, so maybe he had a bad start. Damn, dude, I missed like the first couple of laps. Must have been pretty hectic. Oh. No, Hamilton. Don't know what happened with that. What? Where did Lewis qualify? I need to check that. Up to 6 already. On mediums too. I need to check the grid starting grid. Where is it? Oh, and how do you like the OTR livery on the? He qualified 5th. Wait, what? I'm looking at the wrong damn thing. Started 10th due to penalty. Oh, that's what the five spots for what was the damn thing? Oh, safety car situation. Yeah, he passed under a yellow or something. Yeah, so he's got pace for 5th. All right. Come on, Lewis, get up to 5th. You know you got it in you. It's not bad, a bit weird. So who's got pace? I reckon Oscar's got pace. Don't know what happened at the start, but he's screwed up and now he's got to fight back before the start of the race. Yeah, just flying into the pit lane. Oh, really? Wow. Oh, Hedgehog, what are you doing? Oh, off he goes. And the crowd was on the grid. Oh, shit. Michael Schumacher style? Oh, my God. Charles got pace? I don't think so. Hanging on for dear life. I think Russell hasn't really got pace either. So Lewis is pretty fast. And I think that's it. Lewis, Max. Has Yuki got pace? I think Yuki's closing the gap to Alonso. But also there's a bit of a DRS train going on there. I mean, it can't be because Hamilton's fast. Those laps to the grid they do. Like when they come out of the pits, they go around and then they put them on the grid. Put the cars on the grid. It was then. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Yeah, I just sort of skimmed over. I didn't really see what happened there, but that's not safe. 5-second penalty for Ocon for Stroll. Fair enough. They do all that, come through the pitch. All right, that's weird. I just don't pay that much attention to F1, I guess, before they actually go through. Oh, like a warm-up lap. Like, you fire it up, do a warm-up lap, come through the pitch, then actually go to the grid. That is weird. I could watch the whole broadcast, I think, and to actually see that stuff. So I was at the Dutch Grand Prix, was it? Is that what happened when he did it? Someone might have put it on YouTube anyway. That Stroll, gonna move on Ocon. Must have been how he got forced off. Oh my god, Ocon, please stop being yourself for a hot second. God damn. Why is Ocon, all of the time he must have leaved the space. God damn. What? Is he going to get him back? Is he angry? Has Lance got pace on Ocon? Yep. He does on hards. Is Tsunoda not very fast? Oh, and Lewis has closed the gap. He's left Bortoleto past, so now Bortoleto's starting to drop. Is Alonso going to get him? Yeah, maybe. So Bortoleto might start falling back into the clutches of Alonso. Alonso might pass him, bring him to Tsunoda. It's going to get pretty interesting in the next couple laps, I think. Verstappen actually doing some 2022 shit again. He's just pulling away. Yeah, well, he's just rocking up, doing the job. Sometimes the Red Bull is good, sometimes it's not good. And when it's good, Max will get a win out of it and a pole. Like Japan. Oh, Gabby's got it. Gabby's all right. Gabby's got legit pace, I think. Yuki is not closing that gap too quickly. No, he might. Getting down to 1.085, 1.076. Not up to the straight yet. Maybe Yuki loses a bit of time at the corners. Doesn't have that exit speed. Oh, he's closing the gap. Probably in the toe. Getting a bit of a... That'll do it, that's for sure. That's what I hate. They're going to glaze Max, say he won against this rocket chip. You know what I actually don't like this season in 2025? People bagging the Sauber saying it's rubbish. The Sauber's not that bad anymore. Sauber's, I think last year it was pretty crappy with Bottas, but they actually started to tune it up. This year's car is actually pretty damn solid. And people keep talking about it like it's as bad as it was in 23. Or last year was probably the worst version of that car. This year's version is an improvement on it. Yeah, I think people have said, well, track is narrower there was no space, that's it. Have you tried using your mirrors, Esteban? Take first race results and make that a barometer for the year. Yeah. Except what we've seen, the Williams is, it's haphazard. There are different tracks that suit different cars. Sometimes the Haas is right up there. Sometimes the Merc is battling for the win. Sometimes the Williams is pretty much battling for a podium. Sometimes the Alpine isn't a total dog. And sometimes, like last round, the Racing Bulls was a great car. How's the rookies doing? Bortoleto, Antonelli, Behrman, Colapinto, Hajar, Lawson. Interesting. Sometimes the Haas is ass and Behrman is doing miracles. Yeah. I like that. It's good. And it's always Behrman up the front. Ocon is supposed to be this great driver, but House strategies is goated. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, sometimes you play it smart, you can get yourself in a clever position. Like what did I do in my game in F1 Manager? Sometimes the only reason that we get a good result is because the strategy is good. They do the Penrite strat. Yeah, the Grove strat. Run it long, wait for a safety car. Which is not even like a 2025 thing. I've been thinking about it. People saying, "Oh, like it's a this year thing." It's an all-time thing. If you start down the back, you just hang on for a safety car, or you either run long or you pit early. Um, Otherwise, it's just gonna be mid-pack. So if you think you've got legit pace, that's what you do. Which doesn't really look like Haas have got that unnecessarily long. I don't know who. I don't think they're ever the last to pit though. Brad Jones Racing constantly pit last. Yeah, I think. Alright, I'm okay. Maybe I gotta pay attention to that because I honestly don't pay that much attention to pit strategies in supercars. There was a pit window. They wait until the end of it. Uh, we got Leclerc, got Russell coming up. No, Russell's been there for ages. Penrite man. Pit 10 laps left. Yeah. This is egregious. Yeah. And it's always yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. The strategies. I hadn't really looked too deeply into it, but that could be a thing to look into. I got so much shit that I want to look into. If I didn't have a job, I'd probably hate supercars, but um but if I had like heaps of time, like I spent a big chunk of today looking at Shane Van Gisbergen's career. I got up to like halfway through 2011. Um, I think I finished 2011, and I'm like, I need a break. Yes. What else did I do? Shane Van Gisbergen, Richo. Yeah, it's crazy. All the funny things you run into. How much shit Triple Eight used to chat about SVG. Yeah, that'd be good. You'll have to look out for that. It'll have to go on the list anytime they get close to him. Or he gets close to them. Because like the thing is about like drivers and talent, and sometimes like if they're in a good car, this bloke's loose. Make sure you're careful. They did, didn't they? Yeah, they were just like, "Oh, watch out, SVG's coming. He's gonna take you out or something. Watch out for cheeseburger." Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, like the NASCAR drivers talking about Van Burger, hamburger. I don't know. All I know is he's fast. Uh, Battle for fourth. It's been brewing for the last 10 laps. Show me something interesting. Where is it? Where's interesting? Where we're looking. Well, Stroll's got up to the back of Ocon. He's closing the gap there. Stroll's got legit pace. I'd be watching Stroll. No, the rest of it, I don't think there's anything too exciting going on. in this in the Formula One at the moment. Big gaps. Leclerc's pulled out from Russell. Did Russell make a mistake? Because he was in DRS range, wasn't he? Whoa, look at the rear wing on Leclerc's car. That's right down low. I think Russell's got a bit more downforce going on there. Like, obviously, a lot of them are running some serious straight line speed, but from the camera angle, it looks like Leclerc's he's got a really low wing. I think the McLaren's are a bit higher. I think the Merc's a tiny bit higher, maybe like one click higher. And obviously Lewis is a bit lower, but Lewis has got some real speed going on. With that kind of speed, especially on the same tyre as his teammate, he should be able to close the gap and come fourth. Why are they showing Ollie Behrman? What's Stroll doing? Show the Stroll and Ocon thing. That's where it's going to be interesting. Need a safety car. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Formula One, a freaking Grand Prix race. Two freaking heavy races, these three. What, Leclerc, Russell, and Hamilton? Is that what you're talking about? Or is it Verstappen, Norris, and Piastri? Leclerc being the cork in the bottle. He's not really a cork in the bottle. There's 1.5 second gap. So Russell hasn't got DRS, but he's probably in dirty air. Like a Russell sandwich, a Ferrari Russell sandwich. No, the cork in the bottle is Yuki, and it's popping. And Antonelli's just got Yuki, and Ollie's closing the gap there. Well, Lance he's not quite close enough to Ocon. He's staying off him to save his tyres. Ah, clever. Interesting. Yeah, I don't have the audio turned on because I don't want to have that being annoying. Staying off him to save his tyres, yeah. What are you doing, Carlos? Have you fallen off the track yet? Lock up. Every race, whoever is ahead of Leclerc, they're gone. Yeah. Oh dear. And what's going on with Lando? What have you done, Lando? Just a mistake, ran wide. Very impressive. Oh, that's actually a bit more hectic than I thought. I think it will still... I actually don't know what it'll do. Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll just need to change my audio settings. It's a Behrman pitting. It's a bit of an early stop. Hards. All right. Can mute audio for the stream too. Can I? I'll have a look. I mean, I can mute the microphone. That's about it. The audio of what I'm viewing. Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing at the moment for... because I could mute... I've got KO muted. I'm not actually showing it. Okay, you know what? Because it's like that. Yeah, this should just work fine. What's Alonso doing? Alright. You probably can't hear it. I can hear it now, though. Because I think it was coming... What it used to do is come out of the speakers and go through the microphone. Awesome. Yeah, I can hear the boys yapping. Pitting Yuki. They must have thought he had no pace. If I were Red Bull, I would have run Tsunoda along. Oh, oh, ho. Cold tires. He won races in a junior category. No shit. Everyone in F1 has done that. Oh my god. Alonso will jump him. Bortoletto. Oh, then here we go. I think it's not quite live. It's like a couple seconds off. Yeah, I've just put it back up to live, so you got him, you're right. Maybe the Aston pit crew are faster. Oh. Maybe Behrman's going to get screwed from this. Go Lawson, smart move. That's what you got to do. If you're running softs, pit early. Chuck it on hards. Look after the hards. Get to the end. Oh! Bloody hell. Close the gap into the pits. Good. Maximus. Alonso got a big benefit out of that. Bortoletto past Lawson. I was not looking at the screen. I didn't notice. I thought they were still on max, so I was looking at the freaking standings. Really, 11 lap difference, and he's slower. Maybe Lawson's just got no pace. Hmm. He got knocked out of Q1. Lawson definitely did. Fundamentally slower. Yeah. So with that in consideration, both Racing Bulls, both Alpines, and Lance Stroll are in theory the slowest cars. Maybe I shouldn't make 2 cups of tea if I'm going to stream. Because it just features me yapping, which means I'm not drinking my tea. I can just put one in the fridge, though, and just microwave it in the morning. Might do that. So slow in that corner. With watch-alongs, you don't need to tap as much. To yap as much, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm loving about it at the moment. It's a lot easier for me, that's for sure. Even just reacting to clips of Supercars clips, I get to just shove a bit of food down, shove a bit of drink down, still get to enjoy and talk about what's going on. Mhm. Oh, Albon in the top 10 and Sainz as well. Don't mm. Are they trying to swap him? Oh, no! No! Oh. Yeah, as an Aston Martin fan, that hurts. That hurts. Uh, yeah, yeah, they're just saying Albon's faster, even though he's on the hards. Let him pass. Don't battle. Mm. Oh, damn. Oh, you can see the whole arms just. Or is it the rear? The rear arm? Yeah, did it to himself. Like sometimes things like suspension damage, underfloor damage, yeah, front right. Okay, yeah. I thought it was because I saw it move, but I'm like, is that where the sparks are coming from, or is that just the? Uh, Bad boy. Collapse. So floor is dragging. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Yep. Hmm. 15 more laps. No. Unless your album. Album's going great on his hards. Hards might have a nasty graining period or something at this track. That might be why. Because Albon's doing fine. I think he started on the hards. You are the traffic, Carlos. You are the traffic. What are you talking about? Has Carlos got a new girlfriend, or is it the same one? G. Russ. Thing is about Monza, it's such a tricky strategy track. You either run long and then slap off some fresh softs near the end, like 15, 20 laps from the end, or if you've got legit pace, which Russell would be really banking on it. But you get a strong undercut from pitting earlier. Yeah, you're just cruising. Just sit there. Haven't got the pace for the win. Ah. Well, oh, Liam. No! Guys, stop being stupid. Exactly. Wait, he passed him. Oh. Oh, Antonelli. Antonelli would want a pretty good gap to Gasly. 8 seconds. Depends what the delta is, like how fast he's going compared to the older tyre cars. You don't really want to get up to the Alpines. You want them to pit. Unless you've got huge amounts of pace compared to them and just fly past them. Oh, yeah. Russell's not going too fast. Oh, he's done the fastest lap. Boom. So I reckon Max might pit now. But I think if you can run, because Russell was behind Leclerc and he couldn't pass him. Yeah, kind of soft. See, right? Yeah, because you do soft, medium, soft, or medium hard. I did this race today in F1 Manager. Yeah, they're gonna pit later. Switch to softs. Carlos, he should go to hards, but I don't know. He might be screwed. So honestly, he should probably just switch to softs. Albon switching to softs. What's his pace like? He's not catching Hamilton, is he? Not in a hurry. 6 is fine though. Hopefully a safety car if you're Albon. Ocon, Stroll, and Hedger. Like, running long is risky when you're a back marker because if you're not, like, you're kind of banking on a safety car. Because you can get caught up in the DRS train, then you're screwed. One tyres are too durable. I mean, at the moment, they're blistering, so bring the wrong ones all the time. Yeah. They've done 35 laps on the mediums. Expect them to. Yeah. This makes sense. Oh, I can't believe Gasly signed until the end of 28. He must have nowhere to go. 2 to 3 stops? It should be 2 to 3 stops. Yeah. I mean, I think climbed the hill and was mid. Didn't get second chances in F1. Or you don't get second chances in F1 unless you're a world champion. Oh, Gasly climbed the hill and was mid. Yeah, so he got into a good car. Yeah. Yeah, he's probably past it. People don't want to sign him because he's too old. So, they're looking at the young guys coming through. There's some really good guys at the moment. So, Sonoda might be bin material. Lawson might be bin material. Red Bull have basically got Hadjar and Max. And they have to do whatever it takes to keep Max. But they obviously need a good car for Hadjar, so... Yuki was great in the Racing Bulls, though, we've got to remember. Going to Red Bull killed his career. Yeah, well, that's it. Like, make your name in the Toro Rosso. Yeah. All the F1 drivers with freaking models as girlfriends, dude. It's just like, you might as well just be dating a fucking photo or something. Are these actual, like, do they have great personalities or do they have a great pair of personalities? Is that what we're looking for? They better be good in bed. Russell's catching up to Stroll and Ocon. Leclerc. Oh, Leclerc's just come out. He'll be alright. Antonelli there, dude. Oh, no, he's doing alright. Got that Colapinto in. Lewis can cook here. Yeah. Well, they're not lapped anyone, have they? No one's been lapped yet. Finesse 6 for George. Yeah, was George catching up there? He got the pace. If you're Lewis, I mean, you can't do a one stop in F1 these days, can you? So you're pretty much George is going to be stuck behind these guys. He's going to have to really push. If I were, what I do in my game, I'm just like, use everything, get past him. Because I don't think Lance is particularly slow this race. Here we go. We are checking. We are checking. What do you? Oh, that's all everyone does. About the pit stop. Oh my god, dude, I'm sorry. What do you mean I can't? Can't about the pit stop. Can't do one stop. No, Monza, you have to do one stop. Oh, no, so running long with Hamilton. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you can't do a no stop. That's what I'm thinking. Like if I was Hamilton, yeah. Maybe I just don't get the words out when I think them. But maybe if it was, I don't think I think you got a compulsory have to do one stop. So yeah, obviously go long and go on softs. But hold out for a safety car. Like if I were Lewis, just hang on to the end because you got nothing to gain by pitting early. You might as well just go as long as you can. What? The opposite of the car ahead. What's he talking about? So don't go on the same lap. You're screwed, dude. You've got the car you've got. You can't do anything. And you can't do a no stop, so he's just gonna have to just hold position. You know? Doesn't really matter because Oscar's 6 seconds back, so he can do one lap later and that'll be okay. I mean, what he could do is maybe put 5. I don't know what the tyres are like if a several lap difference might do it. Go 5 laps later. But Max might pit really late though because he's got some real pace. Max winning helps Oscar's championship. Yeah. Obviously Lando can pick up a couple points. He gets 18 points. So he gets 3 points on Oscar. The third time I said something and it happens immediately. What's he put odds on for? The third time I said something and it happens immediately. Oh, yeah. I'm talking about pit stops and it just immediately happens, eh? Alright, Lando, stay there for 5 laps. Come in lap 43. And it doesn't matter after that. Why is he putting hards on? They must be super confident. Six seconds up the road. Oh, Max was. This car's so much faster. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They want the tyre life. They want better tyre. But It doesn't really matter too much what way you go. It's probably a bit of security, possibly. If there's a safety car, hards might be better on the restart. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Unless they don't have a set of softs. Yes, Carlos's car is not having a good time at the moment. Everyone's going medium hards or hard mediums. Is not. Oh my god, dude! They said somebody said that the soft tire is a raceable tire. So I bet the McLarens are going to chuck softs on then. Because that's what 14, 15 laps that people are putting hards on for. Against an Alpine. Against an Alpine, dude. Of course he got past Gasly in the Alpine on worn hards. I wouldn't put the overtake award on that. No shit, he's the freaking fastest car on track. He got pole, and he had the race lead. Oh, I overshot it a tiny bit. Thought Bayman would have been faster, but he was the first to. Oh! Shit! Oh. Carlos. It was always going to happen. What's the great quote? Was it, that was inevitable. They used to run that line in the driver's seat with Stevie Johnson and Matt McKeldin. So funny. Who's going to get the blame for it? Probably Sainz. Like, honestly, he was putting the move on. Bortoletto on Gasly. I guess they're going to pit the... I mean, okay, they already pitted Colapinto. Probably going to put Gasly on softs, Albon on softs, and then McLaren's on softs. What the fuck, you got the penalty in Zandvoort? Yeah, I'm not completely clear on the details there. I think it was something to do with he altered his position or something like that. Yeah, he didn't. What do you mean, doofus? He was putting a move on you. Are you fucking blind? Did you want to have a go at going across the curb? Or are the curbs that shit at Monza? But, yeah, I'd probably put it on signs anyway, but that's like the Russell thing, right? George Russell was like, "He just turned in front of me, I don't know how that happened." Did you drive into him? You wanna have a go at not crashing into someone? Even if if they did it to you, it doesn't mean that you weren't partially to blame for it. Like, these guys racing at fucking 300 Ks an hour everywhere, 300 Ks an hour, and they're like, I don't know what happened." What do you mean you don't know what happened? You dumb these tires are. Uh, they're just saving. Oh, shit. Oscar's like, "Alright, time to rein him in. Time to go for the win." You do 43 laps on one comp, that's not even that hard. Oh my god, right? Yeah. Oh my god. Mm. He's pushing. Norris isn't great with tyres. Like, Norris really struggles with tyre management. Yeah, Lando's probably gonna pit quicker, try to hold position there. In which case, Piastri will have to push really hard for a couple. Driver of the day, Antonelli. Are you serious? Or how many people have won driver of the day? All right, yeah, 44 laps. Yeah, you're right. Honestly, compulsory pit stops are a stupid idea. People should just be able to do whatever they want to do. If they think they're going to make a gain out of pitting, then it's fine. Oh, Albon's pitted. I didn't notice. So he's passing Antonelli. But no one wants to run softs. You can do 45 laps on freaking mediums, but they're like, "Oh no, we can't run softs. We can't run softs." What are you talking about? Like, are they C1s? Yeah, you see, Ollie, that's how you do a move. That's how you get passed by someone. But I don't know, maybe Albon had that much of a gain on it. What? There'll be no undercut. Wait, what are you talking about? No, hards. Hards. Oh no, softs. Here we go. Finally. So Albon's just come in and put a fucking set of mediums on. Finally, someone puts softs on. They don't think they can get 20 laps out of a set of softs? Pit the other car if I won't get undercut. Right. Defend against Leclerc. Why would you be worried about that? Antonelli and Albon. Don't know. Don't know what happened with that. Ah, interesting. Whoa. Well, I'm looking forward to Jolly and Palmer explaining that. I'm sure he'll be able to go in lots of great detail. So when does that come out? Like Wednesday or something? He's undercut him. He undercut him. Oh my god. Lando's not gonna be fucking happy. Oh no. God, he should have pitted when freaking Oscar. Oh no. Oh god. That's such a long time. Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, it's not anyone's fault apart from the freaking gun had issues or whatever. If Lando's faster, Lando should push. They both got softs. They'll be able to do 10 million laps on them because apparently you can do the entire race on a set of mediums. Come on, Oscar. Not Oscar. Lando. If Lando's faster, he should be able to get him. I think that's ever gone wrong in this team. It happens to Lando. Yeah. I mean, has Oscar had bad races this year? You got 18 seconds. Just cruise. Just say, can you put some fucking Spotify on for me? Just some pump and beats going. How close Leclerc is to Lando. Leclerc's like, I smell a podium. I smell a podium. Nah, Norris's tyres are warmed up. He's pulling away. No. He's close, but he was like 1.5 seconds. But I bet Max will just like, oh, can I go for fastest lap? And he'll just smash it and get him. Yeah, exactly. W sportsmanship. Is that because Piastri didn't undercut him. That's why it's sportsmanship. That's whatever. I don't do stuff like that. They've given up. They've given up the win. I mean, they gave up on it when they decided not to undercut Max. Max was 6 seconds ahead. Yeah. And now he's 20 seconds ahead. Good job, McLaren. Fucking hell, man. Yeah, they're never undercutting. I mean, yeah, but you can have a go, right? This is not what having a go looks like. They were doing a Grove. They could have waited longer, I think. Because it doesn't make a difference. I mean, on that covering Leclerc, right? They're covering Leclerc with Norris. Yeah, okay. All right. I get it. Ooh. Damage? Gasly and Stroll crashed, I think. Max is messy. Oh, that's right. They ran really long, didn't they? Gasly and Stroll. Ocon hasn't pitted yet. He's doing what they did at Alpine at Baku. Do the entire race and then stop. Not like Seb Vettel 2021 on softs. Probably Gasly or Stroll. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, my God. Penultimate lap. Yeah, 52. Lap 52 now. Yeah, Max has obviously started. He's 20 seconds up the road. Yeah, McLaren's just cross the line for me. Even on the softs, they're nowhere near fast enough. Max has just got unreal pace then. Good on him. Ocon finally pitting. Probably because you're not allowed to pit in the last lap. He has to do it in the lap 52. So if they have a good stop, what's the point of that pitting? I'll probably wait for safety car though. Max funny as, yeah. It's just like, why did they swap? Because they're trying to be gentlemen to one another. Wonder if it'll be messy in the driver's room. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. Max would never ever do that. He don't give a. What? Swapping spots? Oh, Kelly PK. Have they got the baby? His teammate is never really close to his space. He's never had to worry about it. Yeah, exactly. Hmm. Anime, track and field athlete. Right. So, yeah. Ocon must just been holding out for safety car then. He can give Checo the spot, even though he won the championship. Oh, yeah, Brazil. Yeah. Yay. Go Max. Yeah, I remember being like, dude, like, why are you making a big deal out of this? Yeah. Ocon got lapped. Ah, damn. Maybe they put used softs on, like his qualifying softs, being like, you're going to get lapped anyway. What would have happened if he pitted in the last lap? I think it doesn't count. You get disqualified, I think. Doesn't matter though, because you don't get points, so not really punishment at all. Like disqualified or excluded, I think, because it doesn't count. You have to do a lap. Oh, actually, no, that doesn't. You just have to tick the pit stop, but you have to do it. Didn't Schumacher finish a race? Come in on lap 52, going into 53. That's what he did, right? And then get lapped while he's in the pits. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Didn't that happen to Frosty at Bathurst, right? Like 2023. The McLaren therapy session. He pitted 51 and 52. Oh. Oh, okay, yeah. And got lapped, yeah. Yeah. There's Mick Swaven. Yay! Great job. You know you got race pace if you're just like, yeah, we'll slap some hards on it, we'll be good. Would across the line going into the pits to start his last lap. Yeah. Would have gone like 4 spots. Right. True. Yeah, yeah. You're right. But I think you're not allowed to do it on the last lap. You have to do 51, 52. But yeah, maybe they realised that, and that's why they pitted him 51 to 52. Okay. Albon did it in Baku. Okay. Right. Might have been Ocon, actually. Yeah, I remember Ocon. Oh, yeah, that was definitely Ocon. Yep. Freaking stupid, dude. That was so dumb. They should have got run over, honestly. How dumb people are. Lando's happy because they gave him a podium. I mean, obviously he would have been pissed off and like, oh, it's okay, Lando, we'll give you P2. Albon was Australia, yeah. Both in 22? Or was it 23? Where the fans were in the pit lane. Oh, really? Yeah. I think it was 22 or 23. I remember Albon pitted until at the very end of the race and came like ninth or something. It was a shit race. The 2023 one, because that's the one I went to, Australian Grand Prix, where they had like 6 freaking restarts. Or 22. Maybe you're talking about 22. 23 was a crazy one. Actually, no, we kind of watched Sergio clawing his way through the field. This race just then, yeah, this was a fucking snooze. Hamilton drove his car up to where he was supposed to be. Hmm. Monza isn't always that great a race, unless you got like a fast car down the back. Mid pack was interesting. Interviewing trying to be messy. When you say messy, what do you mean? Like trying to be conversational? Should have had Nico. Yeah, Nico likes throwing a cog in, but even when they're interviewing, it's not that exciting. Asking the hot topic question. Yeah, true. Like Scott Pye at QR is messy. Okay. Mention the swap. Okay. I mean, of course you got to. A slow stop. Oh, did he? Okay. Scott loses by 3 points. Yeah, crazy. No one giving this spot, but yeah, it's gonna be like Oscar has an engine failure the next race, and Lando wins. Suddenly, bang back in it. Wasn't even an engine failure though, was it? It was a freaking something else. No way I'm giving that spot back. Yeah, well, they're trying. People are still butthurt over fucking Hungary. So the performance was legendary. Yeah, qualifies on pole, wins the race. That's not legendary. Yeah. Like, Hamilton fan with the chip on his shoulder. Yeah, yeah. Uh, everyone glazed him. It was because it was discredit Lewis. PMO bad. Is that Kelly PK? I don't know. Most of the time, I just kind of I have the Formula One running while I'm playing Formula One, and I'm paying way more attention to what I'm doing. Yeah, I think you've told me what PMO means. Yeah. Look at helmet missing. So Max having a shit somewhere. Well, actually, they interviewed the other guys first, so of course he's going to be last. And probably people were like cheering him on, stuff like that. Ooh. Oh. Why walk straight into the cameraman like that? I don't think he did it on purpose. The cameraman was probably a bit in the way. But yeah, obviously, if Max should have seen him standing there. But maybe there's not a lot of room. There's probably a tinier room than you think. Probably the camera angle is actually really wide open. It's probably a really tiny room. Nah, they would have slapped those stickers on quick. Yeah, the Tifosi. I didn't realize they've actually got blue on their shirt, on their suits. It's interesting. Fastest race in history. Yeah, I think the next fastest was 2003 with Schumacher. Mm. No safety cars, that's why. Oh, both? But Gears and Cheers? People don't like Lando because he's a sook. Actually, I think maybe people don't give him they don't give him enough credit. He's not too bad. He's honest. He just maybe shouldn't be taking shit so hard. But I think Max will take it hard as well. So what are they cheering? What are they cheering? Who is that random woman? That's Kelly PK, right? She's like 35 or some shit. Yeah, she is. She's like 35 or 38. Like, dude, she must be the fuck of the century. Maybe I just don't like people with the last name PK or something like that. Unless it was like Nelson Piquet Jr. People don't like Lando because he talks shit about Lewis when he was dominating. Says it's not hard to win if you're the fast car. You got one car to beat. Yeah. And now guess who's got the fastest car and can't handle it? Uh, yep. Yeah, it's the first win for Red Bull with Mr. Face. He hasn't won the last two championships. 24 was damn near impossible. Um, but this year, like, this is not working for him. He could be proud. He could be like, I'm gonna be a good number two driver, but I don't know. But like, why you're in F1? Possible, respectfully. It was possible in theory. Yeah, they don't know how to race wheel to wheel. Yeah, and they were racing way too hard, Max and Lando. Let's Max get in his head so easy. Yeah, and Max has been at the top for a long time. Lando, it was mid pack for such a long time. Get the occasional podium. Finally got a top car. And yeah, probably a lot to handle. Whereas Max has been in Red Bull forever, so that's how Max races when he knows he can't win. Yeah, obviously, you got to race like you're desperate. Win or bin, make you crash because he knows he's ahead. Yeah, exactly. If you screw them over, it's their loss. If they screw you over, it was inevitable anyway. Lando will do everything that Max wants him to. That Max wants him to. Yeah. Yeah, Lando's just not very good at wheel to wheel. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That was Monza. Bit of a nothing. Lando, one job, qualifying pole, get off the line, you win the race easy. Yeah, the bottles quali, or bottles the start, or respect given. The pit crew screw him over. Finally got good both. Yeah. And Oscar got good at the same time. I think that did Oscar really get good at the same time? All right. Well, I'm gonna call it a stream instead of fighting Max. Now he's got to fight his teammate. Oh, okay. When the McLaren car first got good, Oscar was mid. Yeah, last year Lando was in the. Oh, didn't something happen with Oscar though? Well, something happened with Oscar. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. It's only 3.5 hours. It's not as long. We watched an entire freaking Formula One race, but it was Monza and the fastest one ever. So whatever. The car became dominant. Oscar became a complete driver. Yeah, yeah. Oscar's been really good this year. Oscar probably not quite as good last year. But a lot of people were saying how good he was last year and the year before, saying Lando's no good. But then it's like, if you look at what's actually going on, Lando was still beating him. Yeah, I've turned it off. I'm like, I don't, if they're just showing us other stuff, I don't care. So, yeah, dude, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thanks for coming. Yeah, we had a good time. Good chat. Laughs were had. And I'll catch you. Okay, so I will be doing one next Sunday. Lando should have won last year. Yeah. I'd have to. Maybe there's a video someone's done. Max car is dominant. He's gone. Yeah. Thank you, dude. Yeah, obviously got plenty more Excel spreadsheets to go through and stuff, but yeah, try to make it an entertaining enough show. But yeah. Next time's Tailem Bend. Hopefully, I'll be able to get home. Should be able to get home by then. And yeah, we'll do a stream. Time going to get home after the race. I guess the race will finish at like 5:30. I will get home. Oh god, yeah, we're pushing it. We're pushing it like 7 or 8. Might as well go through Macca's drive-through just about to have something to eat on the way home, but yeah, I don't know. Be a bit hectic, bit tight. I might have to schedule it Saturday because I won't be able to pick a picture. So yeah. We'll just see what happens and I'll go live as soon as I can. It'll be what it is. The F1 starts after 11. Yeah, I mean we get a bit in and then it's all good. So yeah. So yeah, catch you next week, dude. Yep. See you next week. Yeah, well, should be a good time, and yeah, I'll stream afterwards. Hopefully, when I get home, because it's like a 1.5 hour drive, so yeah, it'd be pretty crazy. Anyway, yeah, yeah, I'll have it scheduled, and then hopefully I'll get home. But yeah, I can message you on Discord. Right. Yep. See ya, dude. Thanks for coming.